Hester and Hangin with Jacob Hester and Charles Hannegriff. Hester and Hangin on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. Alongside Jacob Hester, here's Charles Hannegriff.
Yo, and welcome in. Hanging with Hester and Hangin. Without Hangin will be back on Monday, but it's okay. We got the squad in. No, Matt Flynn didn't show up. Nobody was really betting that he would, but we do have the rest of the flustering crew here. Richard Dick Dixon, Austin Bain. Glad to have you. Austin Bain, this is not a model shoot. You didn't have to wear your modeling shirt.
Dude,
I already gave him that joke in the parking lot.
yeah, this is the second time in like 30 minutes. It's just a nice shirt. I just like wearing it.
I'm just kidding. We've given you a hard time about your modeling career on the show.
Yeah, I know.
It really has, his modeling career took off over quarantine.
It did.
I feel like it's nothing but
I mean,
Austin
everybody
Bain on
else, people
Instagram.
losing their jobs left and right. Not Bain. He's got a second
Bain's
career.
walking downtown Baton Rouge, back to the camera, positive
I
vibes.
get
I
free
am
shirts
a
though.
fan of Austin Bain.
Nice
You
drop.
got to be.
Yeah, I get free shirts though, so that's. I don't get
Now,
paid.
I will say for
It's
you,
not-
if it's free,
it's like getting
it's
paid
me.
in gum,
Yeah.
but
There's
it's
no
a
question.
little bit better.
All right, we've got a big show planned for today. We've got Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South at 1 o'clock. We've got Danny Cannell of CBS and SiriusXM at 2, and Randy McMichael, longtime NFL tight end.
Randy.
Now does a great job in Atlanta. And ask him who Georgia wants to play, because that's the question that everybody wants
Well,
to
the
know.
East needs more competition. So you add some West teams, and you finally have like a real SEC schedule. Because if you go back in the past, I mean, Tennessee's coming, Kentucky's coming, but it's Georgia, Florida the whole time. So you're talking about adding those next two West competitors or teams.
Yep.
I think it really makes their schedule a lot
Yeah, I don't
stronger.
think there's any question that Georgia does not want to have to play
Two more teams from the West.
LSU. All right, they don't want to have to play because they already play Alabama, they already play Auburn, and so they don't want to have to play LSU for a third year in a row. And of course, you mentioned Kentucky and Tennessee. The word that I'm getting is it's going to be between Kentucky, Tennessee, and Mizzou. Those are two of those three will
I'll
be
take Mizzou.
LSU's opponent. Well, it's kind of funny. We do joke about Mizzou because they've been in the conference since 2012.
Never played there.
And you've never played there. So you're talking about multiple recruiting cycles that have never even stepped foot in this place. Did you ever play at Mizzou baseball?
Once.
Okay, so
Yeah, we played there once.
did it feel like an SEC game?
No, it didn't.
Felt like
was-
the Big 12 Challenge?
Yeah, it was weird. It was a different environment. There wasn't a lot of fans, and it was kind of the woods everywhere. It was different.
I feel like Mizzou joined the SEC at the wrong time. They were late because you had Blaine Gabbert and you had what was it, Chad?
Yeah, Chase Daniel before
Daniels
that, right,
before
when
that.
we were
and they
yeah.
were rolling, and then they get into the SEC and they start making some headway. But they lost those QBs and it just haven't really been able to pick it back up.
Yeah, the word is that we will find out who the two opponents are apparently as soon as 2 o'clock today. Now, the rest of the schedule won't come out until next week. That's the word that we're getting. And from all the sources that I talked to, it seems like it's going to be a complete reshuffle and not the teams that we thought in that certain place. And so it's going to be exciting next week whenever we find out exactly where every team falls. And I want to ask y'all this. Who do y'all think's the most nervous? Because I feel
Texas
like
A&M.
that's what I think it's going to be Texas A&M because Texas A&M,
Well,
well,
I thought they had the schedule this year.
they had a bear of a schedule, although we played the same teams they did last year. But they had a bear of a schedule the last 2 years because they play in the West. And then you add Clemson in there, and they thought they were finally getting away from that. They think, hey, we're bringing in Colorado. We're bringing in Fresno State, Abilene Christian. That's our 9 conference games. No longer do we have Clemson, right? And then obviously they liked where some of their conference games fell as far as being home games. That's a team that they could go from. And I would look, if you've ever listened to this show, I have never been buying into the hype for Texas A&M, but a lot of people, I forget who Matt has on, Phil Steele. He has them as a top 5 team in the country. They came out in the coaches poll at number 13. So a lot of people think a lot of Texas A&M, but mainly because, they got returning starters and a veteran quarterback, but their schedule is a big part of it.
Yeah, and you got Jimbo in his 3rd or 4th year. He's got Kellerman another year under Jimbo. You thought you were going to have all these pieces put together. They're going to get the running game going because that's really where they struggled last year. Who are their next 2 up? So who would they add from the East if we're going with the schedule.
I know they would add Florida. I know Florida is one of the teams that they would add to it because
So
Florida
it's basically replacing Clemson with Florida.
because Florida would have to add Alabama and A&M.
I love it.
So that would be their draw. And any way you do this, it's not going to come out fair for some team, right?
For the fan,
somebody's
you
going
couldn't
to
it couldn't be any better.
complain. Now, for you, Bane, like this probably wouldn't be a big deal. Honestly, like if you didn't really know who you're playing in what order, for you, baseball, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, would it?
It wouldn't be as big of a deal as it is for football. I feel like in football, there's almost more of a correct me if I'm wrong, more of a talent gap between like the lower tiers and the higher tiers. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, I mean for sure
Key
within
positions.
the SEC, yeah.
Yeah, and in baseball, it's I don't know. I think it would just feel different. It wouldn't matter as much.
And I think you're playing a series too. You're
Yeah.
playing a series, and if you lose one game, but
It's
you
not a
win,
big deal.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. Football, you lose a game,
You're crying.
Yeah.
you lose a game, then I
They
can't
mean
mess
more.
up again.
Yeah.
They
Right?
mean
That's my one mulligan,
more. Yeah.
unless you're 2007 national
I
champion.
messed
But-
up twice. Still cried after both of them.
So this is going to be the big news. Everyone over the weekend is going to try to figure out. They're going to try to find their leaks. They want to know who they're going to play because we understand how important it is. Now, if what I'm hearing about LSU is true and you get two of Tennessee, Kentucky, Mizzou, and that's the way it falls out, how do y'all feel for being LSU fans that plays out for you?
I think it's not a typically when you're hearing these days Tennessee, Kentucky is like, oh yeah, Mizzou easy wins. Mizzou to me is really the only easy win out of that group of three because Tennessee's coming. A lot of people are having a lot of hype and what they're going to do over there. And Kentucky, let's not forget what they did last year with a wide receiver at quarterback. Now they have their quarterback back. They got their players in line. I think Kentucky's going to be a lot better team. I think Kentucky is going to challenge in the East as far as it is Georgia, Florida. But I think Kentucky's number 3. If you had to pick a number 3 team in that side of the division, and Tennessee is getting better and better. If they keep continuing off what they did the last 8 games of the year last year, they're going to be a better football team.
I do think Tennessee's a better football team. I think they have improved. I still have a lot of questions surrounding Tennessee. Their last 6 games, which they all won, the competition wasn't great, but they did show up against Alabama. If Garantano doesn't go rogue and go on his
Change the
own and
play.
fumbles the ball, who knows what happens in that game? I agree there, but I have a lot of respect for Mark Stoops and what Kentucky does.
You were high on Kentucky last year.
I've been pretty high on him for the last 2 years, but still, if you are an LSU fan and that's the draw that you have to have, I still think you feel good about it.
Yeah.
Right. Although you've dominated Georgia the last 2 times you've played.
Who
but
else in the East would you really be that nervous about? You're already playing Florida, so you're going to get
Yeah.
that game every year. Georgia's the only one, and you've dominated in the last 2 years. I think the next 2 up are Tennessee, Kentucky.
Right. So if you had a combination of Florida and Georgia, obviously that'd be a very difficult stretch. But when you look at it, now obviously everybody wants Vandy, but that can't happen for everybody.
Everybody wants Vandy.
Right. So
Vandy Mizzou would probably whoever gets Vandy Mizzou, they got a pretty sweet deal.
which coach do we think is the guy that's pacing the halls the most? Because I believe it's Nick Saban.
Nick Saban.
Nick Saban is so worried about who's on his schedule when he plays them. We've all heard the story when they're playing against Georgia Southern in the middle of the season. He just goes wild when he finds it out because he's got to prepare for the triple option in the middle of the season. He's cussing everybody out, right? That's a guy that he wants to know exactly who he's playing, when he's playing them, what the situation is. Let's not forget, they'll probably be breaking in a freshman quarterback at some point this year. I'm not saying that he's going to start the season, but Bryce Young is going to play at some point during this year. I think, do we agree there? I mean,
Nick Saban or Jimbo. Jimbo's in a money year. I mean, he came there to win championships, to be the guy, and it hasn't gone his way so far. Kellen Mond's going to be in his 3rd year with him. He's a guy that everybody's expecting big leaps and bounds from. Jimbo thought this was his year. He had an easier schedule. He could go out and be who A&M thought he would be, that he would come out and have a dominant schedule. Now, I think he's pacing now, going back to being an all-conference schedule, having to play two more teams in the SEC.
I don't know, if everyone's watching us. Of course, we've got loyal radio listeners. But if you're watching us on CSG or on our YouTube stream, a lot of people saying, Austin Bain, can you move that chair up a little bit? Because if you're watching.
See, I tried as we started because I had to look up to Richard. And I was like, he's a big dude anyway, but I'm making him look a lot bigger than he is. But I can't. So I just want the listeners
You
to
got
know.
the broken chair?
I want the listeners to know that this is as high as this thing goes.
That's that chair. I was doing it with
Moscato.
Ronnie.
Look at this.
When you were out, Ronnie had that chair.
He kept
He was
sinking.
talking. It was like, he just kept
That's the
sliding.
one where Moscona, it started to go down in the middle of a show, and he just threw a full rant live on air.
Yeah, I remember that.
About the chair?
Yeah, so you're composed. You're
So
professional,
after
you
all
are.
of those
Yeah.
rants about this chair, and it's still sitting in the studio. Come on, Gordy.
Oh, if you think Gordy's replacing it now, after he knows it makes Matt
Now
mad,
it's a hit.
there's no shot that's
No.
ever going to happen. All right, we'll take our first break of the show. We've got plenty more SEC schedule to talk about. We'll also cover the ACC schedule with the fellas as well. Going to get some Major League Baseball thoughts from Austin Bain. I know he's got some thoughts on guys throwing at the Astros players. We'll get to all of that when we come back. This is Hanging with Hester and Handy, presented by Richards Honda.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
GMFS Mortgage and GMFSmortgage.com. You know, right now, with rates at historic lows, it is time for you to take a look at your personal balance sheet. Maybe it's time for a refi. That refi could save you thousands of dollars, not just in the long term, which is obvious, but in the short term, the ability to skip a mortgage payment or two might be invaluable to you. Maybe you've been thinking about getting into the market for a new home. Your purchasing power could be at an all-time high with these interest rates. Find out for sure. Sit with a counselor locally from GMFSmortgage.com. You'll answer a few questions. They'll give you all of the options, and then you can make the best decision for you and their family. You and your family. That's what they talk about when they talk about changing lives. They're talking about changing your monthly budget for the better. So do what I did and do what thousands of others have done. Get your options today, whether it's a new home, a refi, a construction loan on your current home. Start your journey today at GMFSmortgage.com.
Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. After further review and more are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube page. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat. Find highlights for each show's channel and get notified whenever we go live.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy,
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Riot Radio Hours return. Terrio will have his silly letter, and Ross Dellinger joins us to try to sell his book. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, our lunch hour every single Friday is brought to you by Small Sliders East Boyd at Nicholson. Quality, fresh, cooked to order. You're going to get great customer service as well. No matter if it's just you or the family, they're going to have something on the menu that you absolutely love. If you have a party, trust me, they can get a party tray together in no time. We've done it plenty of times. You can also, Blaine Besh, if you're out again like you did last Friday, pick us up a chocolate shake. 3, please.
Pretty solid.
That's what he did last week, and so hopefully he's listening again, because anytime you get a small slider shake, fries, or a slider, you're doing something right, Blaine. So just go ahead and pick us up
Jake,
a shake.
Did you know that you're a forward?
Yeah, well, I heard Moscona's little promo deal there, talking about trying to sell books for deli. The forward in that book's going to sell it for sure.
No, there's no question.
Yeah.
If he knew who he was.
Yes. So I did the forward for Deli's book, which Scone is talking about there. And I didn't forget that I did the forward, but I kind of forgot that I did the forward.
I saw, Deli tweet about it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to look into his book. I'm a friend of Deli's. I thought I would support his book. I want to go do the pre-sale, and it says like authors, and I just click on it, and Jacob Hester pops up as a forward. I'm like, man, he's never told me about this. So I shoot him a text message. I'm like, hey man, what do you have to do with Deli's book? He says, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I said, well, you're listed on Amazon. You're like, news to me. So I shoot you the link, and you're like, oh yeah, I did do that.
Look, it's a great book. Really nice. 100 things that every LSU fan should know, right? And Corona happened in between there. So
this is recent. It's a clean slate.
Time kind of gets lost. I think I did it like in January or February, maybe something like that. But with everything we've had going on, I forgot. But it's a great book.
Great book.
You need to go to Amazon and purchase it. We'll put a link inside the Bayou Ford Huddle and also on our YouTube chat.
As a forward, do you get a penny a book?
I don't get anything. I just get the honor of being able to do the forward for Ron and Ross's book.
You're a great guy, man. That's pretty like selflessness of you.
So hopefully tune in to Matt's show just when Ross is on there, though, so we can
only when Ross.
Yeah, just so we can buy a couple of books.
He's a Mississippi boy, and you don't talk bad about him. He's a Biloxi guy.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
You're telling me all the information. I'm getting all the news from you.
Thought you were a more informed guy.
Right here today. All right. Obviously, we've got a lot of college football to get to, but during this segment, I did want to talk Major League Baseball with Austin Bain, because not typically, throughout our rundown process will Bain throw an idea of what he wants to talk about in there. He just comes and he's happy to be here, and you react. But you had some thoughts on the Astros situation with Joe Kelly throwing at the Astros. I know it happened a couple of weeks ago, but this is something that we had to get a baseball opinion on, because a lot of people knew this was coming. A lot of people just kind of were waiting, and a lot of people think that the Astros got a pass because there's not fans in the stands. And so the floor is yours.
Everybody got suspended except for the Astros. They got like a game out of the whole deal.
Yeah, and Kelly got 8, which I think it would have been the equivalent of 22 games.
That was a hell of
a
a
regular
pout face
season.
that he did, too.
He did. I mean,
he sold the pout face.
Yeah, he did. That was savage. That was awesome.
All right, so what are your thoughts?
All right. So I actually have a few mixed feelings on this. So I think that it's perfectly fine for the game to kind of take care of itself. Obviously, they're going to get thrown at. What are you laughing at?
I just looked up and saw that.
Wait, you haven't realized it? The whole segment so far? We're like 5 minutes in.
I did realize that y'all switched chairs.
I was going to wait till the next break, too.
Okay, yeah, just keep going.
Okay. Anyway, mixed feelings, because obviously they're going to get thrown at, and that's just part of the game. That's just how it is, and you have to accept that that's how the game is. It's a respect game. I think if you do throw at somebody, you don't throw at their head. So I disagree with the 8-game suspension for Joe Kelly because I think that's a little ridiculous, especially with a shorter season.
And the fact that none of the Astros players actually got suspended. I mean, that when you talk to other current and former big leaguers, that's one of the things. So, in their mind, they're thinking, well, go out there and you cheat, and it's fine just because you won't have a punishment. Yeah, you got the embarrassment of it, and even with that part of it, you're getting a pass because the fans aren't heckling you right now.
And I saw another clip where, Joe Kelly's not known for his accuracy anyway. He's got a little bit of wild ball to him. And he was hit with a curveball or a changeup, so they're like, did he really try to hit him?
So that's my thing, too, is I'm not even 100% sold
it was on purpose.
He threw at Bregman on purpose.
Yeah.
He did not throw at Correa on purpose because that's a backup slider that he threw at Correa. You're not going to throw a slider at somebody if you're trying to hit him.
Yeah.
And the only problem I have with Alex, the problem with Bregman is it was the perfect situation to throw at somebody.
Yeah.
It was a 3-0 count. Like, you've already pretty much lost him. He's a great hitter. You don't really want to throw fastballs, groove him in, especially whenever you're a fastball pitcher. Right. And so he threw at him. But it was also a 3-0 count. He's not known for his command.
Yeah.
So I'm not 100% sold that he purposely threw on at Bregman. But if he did, and you throw at his head, and you're throwing 96, upper 90s, that's a little.
That's why I thought the pouty face was perfect because I wasn't sold that he threw at him either.
Right.
And I think that he obviously gets it. It looks like he's throwing at him, and then they start jabbering and throwing and trash talking. So he's going to throw out a pouty face.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the unwritten rules of baseball? And a guy watching a home run too long, or a guy bat flipping, or a pitcher coming off the mound and kind of chirping at you a little bit when he just struck you out with a 98 heater on the black. How do you feel about all that?
I think it's all changing, honestly. Like, I think that baseball is a respect game, and I think you have to kind of respect everybody. But also now you look at it, everybody's like throwing harder, hitting more home runs, and what they're doing is making the game more fun to watch. And that's what baseball needs right now, is because everybody looks at baseball as a boring game. Well, you start getting some fire behind it, bat flips. Like, what you're doing is you're drawing in more people to watch the game, which I'm okay with.
Right.
Like, I don't mind any of that. I think the game policing itself is something that needs to stay there, and they don't need to be monitored as much. Because if you cheat and you do something, like, you're going to get thrown at, things are going to happen, the game's going to take care of itself. And I think the umpires need to understand that too, especially the people who suspended Joe Kelly for 8 games.
And then when baseball doesn't police it, I mean, then the players probably feel like they got to take it upon themselves even more to police what happened with the Astros.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting here saying I agree with every unwritten rule in baseball, but, look, it's been that way for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Does it need to change? That's not for me to say. I mean, that's, that will happen organically. Like, guy hits a home run, he sits there and he walks 4 steps and watches it. I can understand the catcher being like, okay, bud, hey, you've done that before. Giddy up, don't show my pitcher up.
Yeah, and I will say one thing. I respect Bregman so much more because it was a 3-0 count. They threw at him. He didn't do anything.
He just took a deep breath.
Because, he took a deep breath, put his stuff down, went to first base. Because he understood. They cheated, they got in trouble, and they got thrown at.
Yeah.
And he knew that was going to happen. And so he I think he even spoke about it and said, look, the game's going to police itself.
Yeah.
So they threw at him, and he's like, all right. That's what they got.
Right.
And he's not fighting back about it or anything. He's like, all right, I'm going to get what I have coming to me, and then I'm going
to. The other part of it, though, that nobody's really even talked about is normally retaliation.
Yeah.
Normally in all these situations, well, the next time you come up, the next time Bellinger would have came up, he would have caught one right in the back, right?
Yeah.
But because they know then you're not going to get that retaliation either.
When you know you got what's coming to you, it's a long time coming. We talked about it all spring training. We talked about it before that. We talked about it, leading up to the start of Major League Baseball. It was going to be like the Astros tour of, getting thrown at. And so they've known it was coming. I'm sure they've had multiple talks in the locker room, in the clubhouse about saying, look, we know what's coming to us. Yeah. We're busted. You got to take it and move on.
Yeah. And the only thing I have a problem with is that Joe Kelly went upstairs.
Yeah.
Because, and
same guy that threw a ball through his back patio or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, like, I don't think he did it on purpose. Because as crazy as Joe Kelly seems, if Bregman didn't get out of the way and that hit him in the face, you think Joe Kelly really is going to be like, yeah, that's what I thought. No, he's probably going to be like, he threw 96 at his face. He's probably going to be a little worried for the guy that he just threw at. So I don't think he's throwing at his head on purpose either. So I kind of have mixed feelings on it. But I think that if there is a situation like that, I think as a pitcher you really have to know just to keep the ball down.
Kind of staying with Major League Baseball, how do y'all feel like it's gone so far? You've had some teams have to shut down.
How's the Braves gone so far?
In the Marlins. That's all we really care about, right? I think they're 9-5. We've had the Marlins shut down, so they've only played, 6 games where other teams have been in the teens. You've had the Phillies, the Cardinals. All these teams during certain moments have had to shut down. The Marlins take a bus from Philadelphia to Miami because that was the safest way for them to travel. But baseball as a whole has not stopped yet. Those teams have shut down, but they've continued. And we've wondered what that process was going to be like because way back when European soccer started, it was kind of the same situation. Yeah. They had, I believe it was 1 or 2 teams, they had guys test positive. They shut those teams down, but the rest of the league, they kept moving forward, and they just had to play catch-up right there. So far, actually, I think it's worked out pretty well in the fact that you haven't had a whole league shut down.
And I'll give my opinion before Bane can, correct it, really. But I think that you have baseball, you have live baseball, you have something to watch, and as fans, you got to be happy. They've been able to keep games playing. You've had to shut down a couple teams that have not played as many games as you want to. And I think in general, as a whole, you got to put an asterisk next to the season regardless who wins the championship because it's completely different than what you're used to in baseball. So it's a different style of season. I think, you're getting the best of what you can do. You've had 2 teams that have obviously had problems with, defending the coronavirus, but you've also had games every day, at least every other day. The fans are getting back into it. Your baseball fanatics have something to watch. And there's a goal at the end of the season. They're going to have a championship to play for. And it's one big long tournament, and it's something to enjoy.
Yeah. I agree. I think right now they're doing the best that they can with the situation that we have, and they're doing pretty well. For the most part, it's only 2 teams that have been shut down. For the most part, there's been
you've had 3, but not as far as length. That the Marlins and the Phillies, I think, would be the main.
Yeah,
Marlins got up to like 15 or 16 players. What was it?
At least 13, I know for sure.
Yeah,
they had 17 staff. I think it got to 19 total. Yeah, throughout the organization.
Yeah, I think right now with everything going on, I think they're doing the best that they can, and it's giving the baseball fanatics and people who are watching something to do and everything and the most important thing is it's giving the baseball players their job back.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing. And now they're just treating it as a sickness. Like, look, you got sick and we don't want to give it to anybody else. We're going to shut down. It's just like a job. And so really all these guys are getting to play the game again and giving us more stuff to watch. So, I'm happy with how everything's been going so far.
Earlier in the week, we did first class, second class, no class. And my no class was the way the Angels have handled Shohei Ohtani. Of course, he plays DH and he also pitches. And every time it seems like he goes on the mound, he gets hurt. And it's a setback. And then he can't even, have the DH role as well. Now, this is very unique. Way back, obviously players used to do this, but this is not modern era baseball where you're a guy at this level tries to do both at a high level. We've seen guys like Micah Owings be a pitcher, and he could hit so well that they would pinch hit him. We've seen that before. But as far as like an everyday player, this is unique to the times that we're in. So you did it. You played, obviously, first base, and you were a pitcher. Now, you weren't a starting pitcher at the time, but you had to stay in shape for both. I'm just shocked that they can't find a regimen for him to stay on, to be able to stay healthy and keep his arm ready to go if, in fact, they want him to be a dual pitcher and hitter.
Yeah, but that's so complicated, too, because, whenever I played, I threw with the pitchers, and then I came and I'd take ground balls. If anything, I'd just stay there a little bit longer and I'd hit, too. I think I don't think it has so much, like, injuries. You know how crazy injuries are in sports is they can happen out of anywhere to anybody at any time. And I think maybe something's wrong with him that might be making him compensate more, and that might be hurting other things too, and like his arm and everything. And I don't think it's so much as wear and tear from hitting and pitching. I think it might just be like a reoccurring injury that might be making him compensate and just kind of re-injuring that or something else. So that's what I would say. And I don't know, man, because he's a freak of nature. That's his position is he pitches and hits. I mean, that's just kind of what he's being
He's
paid
elite
for.
at both of them.
Yeah.
When he's good, when he's healthy, when
Yeah.
he's ready to go. But it has not yet happened for him. And I'm just shocked that a Major League Baseball team with the resources that they have, because he was able to do it in Japan, and it goes off without a hitch. Then you come over to the Major League Baseball ranks, and you cannot stay healthy. You cannot do whatever you need to do to be able to go out there. And I put some of that on the organization.
Yeah.
They've got to help you create a plan that gets you ready to go at both positions.
And I'm not as familiar with the situation. I don't pay too much attention to the Angels, but so
there's like
what is he hurting?
There's
Is
one
it
Angels
shoulder?
fan in Louisiana. It's my little brother.
Is it a shoulder? Is it an oblique? I mean, if there's one thing that he's hurting,
Well,
it's
he had Tommy
obviously
John.
something-
He had Tommy
Okay,
John
so that's-
surgery, so then he's trying to come back from that. So it's an elbow issue.
So he's had elbow issues the whole time, and I think that at some point, if you're going to continue to have these injuries, you got to either shut him down, get 100% healthy. But to move past the Angels, I did want to ask Bane a question, just because you were talking about it as a guy who pitched and who was a hitter for the team, a guy that was dependent to hit doubles because you're the double king.
You did lead the SEC.
What
It's
do
true
you
story.
think about the new, the extra innings rule, having a guy start at second base?
So that's the international rule. Like I've played that growing up. It kind of speeds up the extra innings,
which is good because I don't feel like anybody really wants to watch an 18 inning
We had
game.
Todd Walker on yesterday. He's like, I love it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to sit out there
I
for
think it's
17
perfect.
innings.
No. Yeah, and those games can get long too, especially if you have good pitching and a good staff, and you're just not seeing the ball well or something like that.
God, was it the SEC tournament game, LSU Mississippi State 2 years ago?
Yeah,
it was like
long.
until like 2:30 in the morning, and I had Sirius at 6 a.m. and I stayed up and watched the whole thing like
See,
an
and
idiot.
you're a good fan. As a fan like me, I'm like,
it was
I
your
don't
first year
care
out.
who wins anymore. I'm going to bed.
Was I on that team? Bane doesn't even know if he played in the game.
Well, we played against.
That's baseball.
It was the year.
mentality.
It was the year that we were also supposed to go to the Super Regional together, and Flynn big leagued us.
That's right.
All three of us were there.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
Flynn, like he did today, big leagued us. And by the way, if you're wondering where Clayton is, he agreed to come on 6 hours and 43. I watched, unfortunately, and LSU lost.
We were at the farm. We were driving back and forth from the farm.
For the Super Regional, against Florida State. Flynn agreed to come on the show today, and then 3 seconds later, and I'm not kidding you, 3 seconds later said, never mind, I can't make it.
Not surprised.
Not surprised?
I don't even.
Nor am I.
Flynn? Okay.
All right, just a reminder, our lunch hours on Fridays are brought to you by Small Sliders East Boyd at Nicholson. Remember, quality, fresh, cooked to order, sliders, fries, milkshakes. Of course, they've got the ices as well. Doesn't matter if it's just you or a group. They can make sure that all your needs are met, and it's going to be glorious. We can promise you that. We'll take a break. More to come here. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richards Honda.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
It's a battle amongst teams in the top of the Eastern Conference when the Toronto Raptors host the Boston Celtics. Live NBA play-by-play immediately following Jimmy Ott's Game Time tonight at 8 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger. If I build a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
This is big. Really big. I mean really, really, really big. Because Honda's summer clearance event is going on right now at Rich.
It's a Friday edition of Game Time as Jimmy Ott gets you ready for the weekend. We're live from Beaubois Park from 6 to 8 p.m., so come see us and bring your own beverage or tune in to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in. Hanging with Hester and Handy, presented by Richard's Honda. Also, every single Friday, our lunch hour is brought to you by Small Sliders. Go ahead and slide through the drive-thru over at East Boyd and Nicholson. Go ahead and pick up some sliders, some fries, always going to be cooked to order. Don't forget about the milkshakes and the ices as well. All that over at Small's Sliders. All right, guys, we have got 17 right now, 17 confirmed Power 5 players, or should I say 15 from the Power 5, 17 FBS players that have opted out of this 2020 college football season, including some names that a lot of people would know. Micah Parsons from Penn State, going to be a top pick in next year's NFL draft. You got Rashad Bateman from Minnesota, the very talented receiver as well. Farley from Virginia Tech, very talented defensive back. So not only guys that were just going to be guys, but some superstars in college football have decided that they have opted out of this 2020 college football season. Are you surprised by that number? Do you think it's about where you thought it would be, maybe higher, maybe lower?
It's probably right on par. I mean, if we had the conversation that we just had in the break, I mean, I really think if you're a top draft pick, if you're a guy that's got enough film, who's done everything they can't really improve their draft status much. I don't see why you don't do it. With so many uncertainties, you haven't had the training that you're used to. You don't have the conditioning. Usually these guys have conditioned all spring, conditioned all summer, and they're coming in at prime time ready to play football. These guys have been stopped and started so many times that you're not sure if you go out there and have a bad hamstring, put some bad tape out there, that you're going to really hurt your draft stock. So I think if you're a guy that's a kind of, I would look at it similar to what we say about leaving early as a junior. If you're a guy that's going to be a 1 or 2, I mean, you're a guy that you're going to be a highly drafted player, and you've got enough film out there. You've heard from enough people. I mean, people think agents aren't talking to sophomores. They're talking to sophomores. Yeah. You get a lot of feedback from these guys. I think if you're one of those guys, I understand why you don't play, because there's too many uncertainties, and your body is not going to be in prime time condition. I mean, you know how it is. Football is all about timing. You know, you have surgeries in January. You fix all your nicks and bumps and bruises in January, February. You start building back up all spring. Summer, you get rolling. You take about a month off, and then it's football time. And these guys have been stopped and started so many times. I don't know if, you know, with the coronavirus and everything that's happened, the one thing you don't hear a lot of people talk about is how did it affect surgeries and off-season surgeries? I mean, because hospitals weren't having elective surgeries. A lot of what football players have is, you know, things that you don't necessarily have to get fixed, but you go ahead and get it done because it's going to make you a better player and make you feel better. Did that affect the timing? Are guys as strong as they want? I mean, you saw the guy from LSU, was it Trevez Moore, said he's down like 29 pounds from where he was. So how does he put that weight on in time to play? There's a lot of variables. And if you're a top draft pick, I understand why you wouldn't.
Just a quick update. As I have my list ready for today's show, in fact, 6 players from Maryland alone have decided to opt out because of COVID-19. So that's 6 players from one school. So this list at the beginning of the show when I'm doing the prep was 17. Now it's at least
and I'm sure it's grown
at
somewhere else.
23. And so it's going to continue to grow. But obviously everything that we talk about here, we're going to circle back to LSU because that's what we care about. That's what we cover. And I think it's encouraging that LSU does not have players saying that they're not going to play. In fact, their best player, Jamar Chase, has said he is locked and loaded and ready to play this season. And so you're going to have some star players. There's some SEC schools. Look, the SEC, not at this point, they've only gotten – I know there's a player from Auburn, a player from Vanderbilt, and one from South Carolina, but there's not been a slew of SEC names. That's probably coming at some point. But I've said this all week. I'm going to continue to say it. They have built a culture over at LSU where the players do feel safe. They believe in the testing protocols that they have in place. They believe in what they're doing right now, which is very important during these very uncertain times. And this is, in my opinion, this is proof.
Do you think that college football will put a deadline like the NFL did? Because what if you have a guy come in and start playing 2 or 3 games and it doesn't like his playing times, like I'm opting out, and you know, I want a full credited season.
I think they have to, and not because of anything against the players, but to help out the coaches.
Oh, you got to help out
to help them with roster management, to be able to know who you have going into the season, who you can count on, because this is not the NFL. This is not Major League Baseball that has a taxi squad. You can't just go get a guy. You can't go bring a guy up from different ranks. You have 85 scholarships, right? And out of those 85 scholarships, you're counting on 60. Great minds.
Wow.
60 to contribute to your football team. And if you lose 6 guys off 60, that's a big percentage if you're Maryland, right? If you're counting on those guys. And so I think for the sake of helping them with the roster management and getting a game plan out there, I think you do need to say, hey, guys, like the NFL, are you going to opt in? Do you feel comfortable in playing? Like, you know, Tre'Davious White was a guy that was on the fence. He decided to opt into the football season, but that's a guy that he had a deadline, so he went down to the deadline because, you know, he's had, I believe it was his wife's, one of their grandparents, I believe, passed away from COVID-19. And so it just hit his family. And so it was something that he was weighing. He was weighing his options, and it went up to the last minute, and he decided to opt in to the season. And so it also gives the players kind of a benchmark to be able to gain all the information they can gain and then make that decision.
And to me, it takes it away from being an out because you're not happy with certain things as the season goes on. Because you know a lot of these young guys, if they're being told they opt out, they get a free a season that doesn't hurt their eligibility. They remain, you know, a sophomore going into the next year. I mean, guys who are not happy. I mean, coaches, honestly, too, they got to do it to protect the coaches because coaches not only want to redshirt you, but they could be telling the kid, hey, look, opt out because we don't have to use a red shirt on you. Maybe he's already redshirted. Opt out, you know, so we can save another year of eligibility. I think it just protects you from all things like that.
So let's say they did opt out and they came back for, like, if it was their sophomore year, they would repeat their sophomore year of eligibility. Is that going to hurt their draft stock at all? Because I know in baseball, age matters. Like
depends on position.
So for football, you know, you're 3 years removed from high school. So however that 3 years happens, I know baseball is a little bit different. You can be a draft eligible sophomore, so as long as it's 3 years. And so after their sophomore year, they can go. It's just like redshirting Greedy Williams, redshirt sophomore when he decided to go to the NFL draft. So it doesn't matter how those 3 years happen. It's just a 3-year window where you're removed from high school football. You can be eligible for the NFL draft.
Okay.
This number, guys, is, I mean, again, start at 17. We're at 23 minimum right now. That's just the ones that I've seen come across the wire.
129 Division I colleges?
So
is it 119, 129? I can't
I don't even want to put
right around there.
I don't even
17. Come on. I mean, okay, add the 6. 23 out of 119 or 129 colleges.
Yeah, right now that we know about. Yeah.
That's not, to me, it's on par. And I think, like you said, there's a lot of big names. I understand the first round draft pick who's done everything, put everything on film, and he's not comfortable with where his body's at going into the season due to how many times he stopped and started. He was at home for 3 months. He lived in the middle of the country. He was, out in the middle of nowhere like us. He didn't have a 5-star gym to go train, or he didn't have a guy who trains pros on the side. He's working out at his high school or on his high school football field. He's not comfortable where his body's at. So I could see why some guys in those certain scenarios, they know that they've done everything they can. They've put numbers on the film, and they're just going to get ready for the NFL.
All right, remember, we have Connor O'Gara Saturday Down South set to join us at 1 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, Danny Cannell from CBS Sports and Sirius XM Radio. And at 2:30, longtime NFL tight end Randy McMichael will join us to talk about the Georgia Bulldogs and the SEC East. Of course, our lunch hour every single Friday is brought to you by Small Sliders. Go ahead and slide through the drive-thru, East Boyd and Nicholson. Quality, fresh, cook-to-order food, sliders, fries, of course, milkshakes, ices, all of it over there at Smalls Sliders. You're going to get outstanding customer care every single time as well. We'll be back hanging with Hester, presented by Richard Honda.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we're also brought to you by Gotros Outdoor Power. You can check them out online at gotrosoutdoorpower.com. 2 locations locally, Airline at Industriaplex in Baton Rouge, and in Gonzales, Airline and 74. We always tell you, go check out the website because they're going to have a deal. They're going to have a special going on with all their Skag equipment over there. They got a great one taking place right now. When you buy a Skag, Patriot Z, Tiger Cat, Cheetah, or Turf Tiger Gotros Outdoor Power, you'll get your choice of an Echo trimmer or blower absolutely free. Plus, we're still offering that 0% interest for 60 months financing on all Skag ZTRs. If COVID has you worried about leaving the house and shopping, Gotros can do 100% of the sale over the phone, including the financing, and Gotros offers free delivery to your home on all new equipment sales. So if you're listening up in the Port City on 11:30 a.m. to Tiger, they've got you covered as well. That's GotrosOutdoorPower.com. Gotros, we make it easy.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger. If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Citizens Bank is proud to bring you the Fan of the Week. But during these times with no fans, Citizens Bank is switching its support to the Banking on BR campaign to raise money for the Baton Rouge Food Bank. You can help out by visiting brfoodbank.org or bankingonbr.com.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, It's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all.
Coming up on Monday's Off the Bench, we recap the weekend of sports. Was the final nail put in the Pelican coffin? Plus, will we see the new SEC schedule? And as we do every week, we give you our weekend winners. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hannity on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in. Hanging with Hester and Hanny without the Hanny, presented by Richard Honda. Of course, our lunch hour every single Friday brought to you by Small Sliders. Drive through over at Smalls East Boyd at Nicholson. Smalls, fries, Small Sliders, all going to be cooked to order, quality, going to get fresh. Milkshake, still not here. Blame Besh. Last week he did it. Where's it at? Oh, Bane was allergic to milkshakes anyways, probably. I didn't even think about that.
He's probably allergic to something.
But you know who's not?
I'm not.
Us.
And Bane had to go do a photo shoot.
Yeah, Bane had to leave us. He had a modeling shoot downtown to do. But,
He's on 4th Street.
Check out his Instagram. You'll know exactly what we're talking about.
Has he posted anything other than a picture of him wearing a Positive Vibe shirt?
I don't think so. It's he's keeping it positive.
Hey, you know what? Positive vibes.
That's exactly right. Something we'll probably get into a little bit later on in the show, but here for this short segment, the New Orleans Pelicans. And yesterday's game just was something that surprised me completely. And
did it surprise you?
It did, because
anything Pelicans surprise you?
When you pull it back, okay, so you get into the bubble with an opportunity. Right, you have an opportunity to get into the postseason, and we broke down the schedule as many ways as you can break it down, because it's something during this pandemic that we had to talk about. And you felt, you had the first 2 games were going to be difficult, and you had this game where you felt like you were all the situations, right? And Playboy Marty and I were actually talking about it before the show, right? You open up with the Jazz, and that's a game that you played really well in, and you controlled that game, and then you allowed them to come back, and then when that shot rims out, right, and then it's like the
It's
right. It's just
the
like the big
entire fandom of being a Pelicans fan. I tried to get in it with AD, and then every time I thought they were going to make the run, they crapped a bed and they just didn't play well. And then Zion comes in, they start playing really well at the end of the season gets shut down, and then all of a sudden we're bringing them to the bubble. Zion, they're healthy, everybody's playing well. Then I sit at your house and I watch a dominating scrimmage where I'm just getting so pumped about the Pelicans, where I'm like, they're going to kill everybody. Yeah. They're ready to roll. And then as soon as it counts, they do it to you again, and they just don't get it done.
Well, the Jazz game, like I mentioned, I mean, you control that game, and then you let it slip through your fingers there at the very end, and you have a chance to win the game. The shot doesn't go in. Okay, now you've got to rebound. Well, they don't do that. They get absolutely embarrassed by the Clippers, and then you come out, and it's almost like you just emptied your gun against the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Like that was everything you had left, which should not have been the case, but that's what it felt like, because then you come play a Sacramento Kings team that has not really done well in the bubble, and you get embarrassed. You got beat by 15, but there at the end of the game, I think the Kings had 132 points with 6 minutes left. They only get 140 points. That could have even been a 150-point effort, right? And you get embarrassed. And it just, to me, you have to ask the question, okay, how did Gentry not have his team more prepared in different situations, right? How can you play like you did against the Jazz, and then you let that lead go, but then you come out with the effort you did against the Clippers, and then you had that performance against the Grizzlies where you look really good, and then you had that performance against the Kings. There's just too many ebbs and flows for me for the Pelicans.
When T-Bob started puking up beer on Twitter after one of the games, or his halftime, his first half review, is about the time I just quit watching. I mean, I can't be hurt. I've tried to become a Pelicans fan so many times, and you've had great players, but when you had chances with AD, it didn't happen. Zion, got you so excited when he started coming in. His first game, I think he drains he's 4 for 4 from the three.
Yeah.
You're getting pumped about it. And then, just this bubble experience, it just brought me back to the Pelicans reality.
Again, we'll get back to the Pelicans later on in the show, but this tells you all you need to know. Brandon Ingram last night, minus 14 in the plus-minus. Zion, minus 12. Lonzo Ball, minus 17. J.J. Redick, minus 15. So that tells the story. All right, remember, you can always listen to us, of course, on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, 11:30 a.m. The Tiger up in Shreveport. You can watch us on our YouTube stream and, of course, every single day on Cox Sports Television as well. We've still got Connor O'Gara set to join us when we come back. Remember, every single Friday, the lunch hour is brought to you by Small Sliders. Go ahead and slide through the drive-thru. East Boyd at Nicholson. Go ahead and pick you up a slider, fries, milkshake, icy, all that over at Small Sliders. We'll be back hour number 2 with Connor O'Gara, a Saturday Down South.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Visit Bayou Ford for a new 2020 Ford F-150 for only $30,400 with 0% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
In and eye out for danger. If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, We've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
Callahan Injury Lawyers. Now, Hangin with Hester and Hanny with Jacob Hester and Charles Hannegriff. Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. Alongside Jacob Hester, here's Charles Hannegriff.
All right, welcome in. Hour number 2, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Without the Hanny, presented by Richard's Honda, here with Richard Dick Dixon on a TGIF. Going to go ahead and go now to one of our favorite guys to catch up with. Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South, joins us now. Connor, have you figured out the Da Vinci Code?
I haven't. I can't say that I've actively spent enough time trying to figure it out, but I think it's on my to-do list. I just haven't quite gotten there yet. Have you?
All right, well, I just figured the Da Vinci Code was easier to figure out than the SEC schedule and when it's going to drop, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, I've tried to put the feelers out there this week, and it seems like, it's going to be happening soon. I even got so desperate yesterday that I texted Darinoka, hey, I'll give you $50 if you just get to the SEC Network studios and just come out with the schedule. It doesn't have to be real. Just give us the schedule. He did not take the bait. He was watching Hamilton. But, I feel like if we make enough of an effort like that, eventually we're going to get a schedule, right?
You would think so. And so I've done the same. Look, I've used every source that I can, and the most that I can get out of anybody is it seems like LSU is going to play 2 of the 3 between Mizzou, Kentucky, and Tennessee. But that's, kind of what we expected. And so maybe that is the model that they followed, potentially playing the next 2 you had in the rotation. Look, there's going to be a fan base without question, Connor. You know this as well as I, that thinks that the league office was against them and they cheated their team. But there's going to be some very difficult schedules. When you look at the potential of Florida having to play Alabama, Texas A&M, LSU, Georgia, right? That is a bear of a schedule. But there was never going to be a way that made sense for everybody.
Here's the thing that I keep coming back to. I think it's actually stupid to complain about schedules this year in the SEC. I understand that there's the optics of getting 2 of these games added. Like, people are going to want to focus on those 2 games as much as possible. And if there's 2 top 25 opponents that gets added for one team and not for another, it's going to be crying foul. But at the end of the day, it's 10 of the 13 possible SEC opponents are going to have to, you're going to have to face them. And if you get to an SEC championship, that could be an 11th SEC opponent that you end up facing. There's a reason that they don't complain about the schedule in the Big 12. It's because they have a round robin every single year, and they just play each other. And the SEC has that now more than ever. It makes more sense to complain with an 8-game conference schedule than it does with a 10-game conference schedule. So I understand that there's probably been some resistance. And I get it from an administrative standpoint. If you're sitting there and you're, let's say, South Carolina, and you're all of a sudden told, hey, this year, you're going to have Alabama and LSU added or something like that. I mean, I think that, even though they already have LSU this year, let's say it's Alabama and Auburn are added to your schedule or something. Ultimately, you're still going to have to face 10. Whoever gets out of the SEC is going to have to get through a gauntlet this year. There's nobody that's going to luck into a good schedule who's going to win the SEC. And in a year in which expectations are already lower because this is a conference-only schedule, it's not like going from 7 wins to 5 is really that big of a deal. At least it shouldn't be. So I think that there are different ways to look at it, but I come back to the belief that this is more of an even playing field than ever. I think this year we're playing more conference games.
And Connor, I'm with you. I mean, the thought of anybody complaining about playing a full SEC schedule when your only other option is not having football, I think anybody should be up to be playing it. And something me and Jake were talking about earlier, and we're trying to figure out of all the coaches in the SEC, what 2 coaches do you think are sweating their next 2 opponents the most?
I tend to think it's got to be one of the contenders, right? I think someone like Dan Mullen, if you're sitting there understanding that you already have that game against LSU set up, you're obviously hoping that you do not, under any circumstances, end up with a game against Alabama or against Texas A&M or against Auburn, when reality is Florida has been fortunate, I think, with some of the scheduling, and the entire East has been fortunate with the scheduling. I mean, we're talking about one division that's won 10 of the last 11 SEC titles, and in the 1 year in which an East team won, which was 2017 Georgia, it ended up getting beat by a West team in the national championship anyway. So, I question the people on the, if there are East contenders who are going to be frustrated or upset with this, when it's like, all right, well, the West has been dealing with this for a decade. And, to have to play more teams in the conference, to have to win the conference, in theory, doesn't really sound crazy. But I do think that, Florida's probably the team that is going to have the most resistance to this, considering that Georgia already has the matchups with Auburn and Alabama. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I think A&M is another team that could potentially be like, oh, man, we were set up so well. And all of a sudden we're looking around and we're going to have a more difficult schedule than we originally thought, which goes to show you it's stupid to rank a team in the preseason based on their strength of schedule, and that should have never been done for A&M in the first place. But I'd say those are the two teams that are probably looking around like, this is probably going to end up well for us.
Connor, what do you think this does for scheduling in the future? Do you think it alters it at all? Do you think the SEC and the Power 5 schools go back to what they did before in 2021?
No, I think that they're going to go back to what they did before because it worked. I mean, let's call it what it is. The SEC and ACC have figured out the perfect possible way to get a team to the playoff, which they've been able to do every single year. A Power 5 conference with an 8-game conference schedule has never missed out on the playoff. For Power 5 conferences with a 9-game conference schedule, it's been 50-50. So, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't they go back to having an 8-game conference schedule when, there's going to be some, hopefully if we get the schedule played this year in its entirety, there are going to be some benefits to that. We're going to see what this is going to look like for, an entire year of having 10 SEC games as opposed to 8. It's going to be more competitive in that regard. And who wouldn't want to, replace 2 more weekends of SEC football, instead of having, these FCS or Group of 5 games. So I do think, though, that it's about what works. And I think that they're going to go back to the original model. And I think that the other conferences, if we're being 100% honest, like the Big Ten going to the 9-game conference schedule really hurt them when they did that in 2016. And there's a reason that, one conference champion has gone to the playoff in the last 4 years. So, yeah, I mean, I think that the SEC has a good thing going. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It makes sense to go back to it once things get back to normal.
Connor, I was reading down your Twitter line, and there's something you tweeted that raises a really great point that I don't think anybody's really thinking about, and it kind of plays off of what me and Jacob were talking about earlier. So far, there's only been, 23 guys that have opted out of playing college football this year. And however, what we were talking about earlier, where it makes sense if you're a guy that's going to be a top draft pick and your body's just not in the right shape or where you want to be, that maybe playing this year is not best and you have enough film to where you're still going to get drafted. But how are schools going to handle it for guys who are freshmen, sophomores? What is your eligibility going to be standing, the next year? Does it count as a credited year, or is it kind of like a redshirt year?
We don't know yet,
yeah.
And that's the scary thing is, I talked to Vandy kicker Orrin Milstein, who transferred in from Columbia. This is somebody who has an Ivy League degree, and he was the first SEC player to opt out. He made that announcement on Monday night. And at the end of the conversation, I'm like, what's next for you? Kind of assuming that, he just got an Ivy League degree. He's going to go on and do whatever he wants to do. He's getting a master's from Vandy. Like, he's going to be set up well. And he's like, well, to be honest, yeah, my scholarship's being honored, but I have no idea what my eligibility is for next year. And it kind of got me thinking, there's still so much to figure out. And I saw Pete Thamel had some sort of tweet about the NCAA still trying to figure out what eligibility is going to look like. And the issue is every school is probably going to be in a different sort of financial situation when this is all over. And they're going to have to figure out how in the world are we going to figure out honoring scholarships and honoring eligibility for these athletes in the fall, and can they do it in the same way that they were doing with the spring sport athletes who had their seasons canceled? It gets messy when you have this many scholarships in football, and I'm sure that there are a lot of tough conversations that are going to happen, and I don't know if they can really do a universal thing when there could be financial, ramifications of this that are that are just kind of all over the place. So it's just yet another thing that needs to be figured out, and just another reminder of how many moving pieces are really involved with all this.
Connor, I know we always talk about the SEC, but I want to ask you an ACC question. When we found out they were doing the 9+1 and they were going to do a non-conference game, I didn't really know what to expect, I'll be honest with you. But when the schedule came out the other day, you see teams like Ohio, Samford, Western Kentucky, UAB, Western Michigan, VMI. I wonder what the purpose of that game truly was. I don't think it does anything. It doesn't add anything. Heck, Liberty's basically in the ACC this year with 3 games within the ACC. So when you look at that model, why do you think they decided to add that game?
I think it's to be able to try and get everybody, a little bit of a boost. If we're being 100% honest, I mean, I think that's the main goal with this, and I think that's been kind of the theme throughout some of the scheduling that we've seen so far in ACC and in the Big Ten. Is they want to give their contenders the best possible chance to get to the playoff. And if you're talking about a conference that has less games across the board, then yeah, maybe it does hurt a little bit. Maybe if we're talking about Clemson sitting there at like 8-1 or something like that instead of a 9-1, maybe that makes some sort of a difference. I don't know, but it just kind of seems like there were things at play there that were more than just, hey, we're trying to figure out the best possible way to have this schedule, when in reality it's about optics. And I think that's at the root of why every decision has been made for so many of these conferences when trying to figure out the best possible way to do this. But yeah, I think it's just strange to think about that and to think about the idea of all these teams playing different conference games. Clemson doesn't even know who it's going to play yet, non-conference play. They still have to figure that out. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess, but this comes down to just trying to look better for the selection committee, in my opinion.
All right, so I'm going to ask you one last question. Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South, is our guest. When the SEC does reveal the schedule, and of course we're going to know the teams later today, and we're going to know the full schedule next week, how do you want the SEC network to roll this out? Because we've got a lot of submissions in the show this week.
I want the original NCAA tournament men's basketball selection show. Give me that one by one. That's perfectly fine. You know what? They don't need to sit there and talk about it the entire time. They don't need to make it like they do, with the playoff selection show and all that. I understand that they do that for a reason, but I don't need to sit there and dissect every single game for like a couple minutes and then, continue to get to the rest of the schedule. Just give them all in order like that. You can break it down and stuff afterwards, but it better be like a 15-minute thing where we find out everything. And it won't even take that long. I don't think it really has to, but whether it's our guys, Dari or PB or whomever that's being able to present this, I want it done in an efficient fashion, but with a little bit of drama. I'm okay with that. So I think that we're due for something like that. Just give us something that feels like the selection show, because we didn't get that this year. If there was ever a time to do it, I feel like now is it.
Oh, they've got a golden opportunity. In fact, PB said he wants to do it with a Bob Barker skinny microphone. So he's already thought this out well in advance. Imagine that. Peter wants to take the lead on the show. Hey, Connor, we always appreciate the time, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
All right, there he is. Connor O'Gara does a great job. Saturday Down South. You can check out their website again. Those guys do a fantastic job. All right, we still got a lot to come in the show, like we mentioned. Hopefully we will know those two teams that LSU will face amongst, what we think Kentucky, Tennessee, and Mizzou, potentially the teams. That's the word that we're getting. We're getting the word that's going to drop at 2 o'clock. Of course, we've still got Danny Cannell.
Maybe Danny can break it.
Yeah,
he's coming on.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe he's got some insight. He works over there at CBS Sports. We got Danny at 2 o'clock. We've got Randy McMichael at 2:30. Still a lot to come. Don't forget, we still have first class, second class, no class.
Thanks
I believe Telemed sponsors that, and so we're excited to welcome Richard Dixon. Dick Dixon going to do his first ever first class, second class, no class.
Working on it now.
All right. We'll be back. Hanging with Hester and Handy, presented by Richard Honda.
Hangin' with Hester and Handy. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hello?
What's up, B? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up?
Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up! Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up! Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger. If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Riot Radio Hours return. Terrio will have his silly letter, and Ross Dellinger joins us to try to sell his book. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hannity on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in. Hanging with Hester and Hanny without the Hanny. Richard Dick Dixon here with me on a TGIF. Richard, something that you talked about earlier when Austin was here and we didn't get a chance to hear more on it was the schedule right now for these college football players. And Haney and I have discussed this and linked this week, but you being another former player, I'd love to get your thought process on this. How difficult for you would it have been to be able to kind of hit the start, stop, not really sure exactly where your body needs to be physically and also where you need to be mentally? Because I can't imagine this, because I was telling a story. I was on a podcast earlier today, and I was just telling a story of when I would have to gain weight, lose weight, ebbs and flows of that, and North would want me at this weight, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks later he wanted me here, and that was within a season. And just trying to do that within a season, it sucked.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun, and it wasn't like, woe is me. It was just like I felt like anytime I got to my peak performance, I'd have to go another route because they would want something different within a season. And that's just with my weight. That's not even dealing with
injuries
and what they're dealing with right now as far as trying to get their body ready to be at its peak position whenever you start, because you always want to be at your best when the start of the season, because you're going to get worn down throughout the season.
You packed on weight before camp started.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to get to camp about 258, pushing 260, because you knew you were going to lose 10 to 15 pounds in camp, and then try to build it back up once you start, coming off that schedule. I think the harder part really is, the mentality of an 18, 19, 20-year-old, when you know that, your freshman year, you always hear about like burning the candle at both ends and freshmen getting worn down because you're not used to that long schedule. And it's no different from a rookie in the NFL. The schedule gets longer, and it's such a mental grind to get in the right headspace to be able to be 100% football for 6 months.
Yeah.
And, so it's a timing. That, you have a good time during summer. You play, go have fun, go to the beach. But then that, coming up to camp, everybody has that conversation with the coach.
Hey, you went to the beach in college? Can't
I lived
hide
on the
money.
beach, man.
Woo!
Well, my parents.
Can't hide it.
Easy.
Okay, sorry.
I went to the beach with you, by the way. So before you go there. But yeah, my coach used to always, at the end of July, Coach Henson would buy me a book. And he would start buying books. And he's like, look, this is when you're starting to, we're honing in on football right now. There's no more, going out, doing things, having fun. I mean, let's get home in the afternoon. I want you to take your mind off football in the evening, but I want you to rest. And I would get a book the start of every camp.
Yeah.
And it's a mental process. For these guys, I can't imagine being, so unsure, where they're supposed to be at in the schedule because, they just got the football back and they had it for a week or so or whatever it was. They went to football school and then it gets taken away and they're back home. Coach O sent them back home last week. So they've had so many different ebbs and flows of where they're supposed to be. It's really tough mentally, I think, especially for the younger players. The older guys, they're probably not going back home. They're staying here. They're working out at other fields. But when you talk about what resources do you have at home, especially during quarantine, a lot of guys don't have these fine gyms. I mean, we used to have to, go get a key from one of the coaches to go to the high school to work out in the afternoons. And then, some of these guys that live in big cities have nice gyms like D1 Sports in Shreveport, where a lot of guys go, where you're at. But not a lot of players have that. So you saw pictures and videos of Miles Brennan lifting with tree trunks. I mean, he was cutting down trees in the backyard because he's a South Mississippi boy, and there's not a lot of big gyms down there. So you got to make what's best. So I think it's very interesting. Kind of to my point earlier, if I understand why guys would opt out of the season if you're a draft pick, if you're a high draft pick, because I don't see how you're going to put yourself in a better position this year than what you would have done last year.
And we've heard coaches throughout the SEC say, hey, the more mature team, the more responsible team is going to thrive in this situation. And in fact, Will Muschamp was kidding with Paul Feinbaum yesterday. He said, you need to live a boring life right now. Yeah. I look back at your high school and college days. I can't imagine you had many dates, Paul. They need to they need to live their lives like you did, Paul Feinbaum, in college. Boring. But he's exactly right, though. Yeah. I mean, right now it's not the ideal situation.
They don't even want you having getting a bunch of guys over the house to play Madden. I forgot what show I was listening to talk about that earlier, but they were saying that they had problems where, and I don't know what college it was, they had a bunch of guys over at an apartment or a house, and they were all playing Madden, and they had a little bit of an outbreak there. I mean, so there's.
And remember, that's what they used to tell you to do on Thursday nights.
What did Miles say? Get a pizza and have Betty and Diane, and y'all go watch movies.
Get a pizza. Have Betty and Diane come over, watch a picture show. Or play games.
Something like that.
He used to say picture show
all
the time. But exactly, that's what they wanted you to do. They wanted you to, and now you can't even do that. Now they don't want you to get together and play Madden in a group of 5 or 6.
So I think the country boys are handling it the best. They're probably out there fishing by themselves, getting out in the wilderness, staying away from people, because, you city guys, y'all like to play a lot of video games. I mean, y'all are gamers. I mean, how would you do with that, not having those tournaments y'all used to play all the time?
Oh, it's news to me that I was a gamer, but thank you. I guess so. Or you can go play some golf.
You can play some golf, yeah.
You can go play some golf. God knows Gordy does.
One person to a cart, though.
Just walk it. Get your exercise in as well.
That's true. Not walking, playing golf.
Something else that we learned over the last couple of days, the SEC announced that football players will be tested through a third-party provider. That was, a big point that we talked about last week, at least twice a week, 6 and 3 days before games. All coaches and staff also going to be required to wear face coverings on the sidelines. That's not a surprise. Neither is being tested twice a week a surprise.
No, but it also brings home the point that I don't see how smaller, your group of 5 can play, honestly. I mean, if you're going to put these type of stringencies on, the testing protocols, what you're going to wear. I mean, I saw, and you might be able to help me out with this, it was one of the Power 5 programs talked about their first month back with players on campus spent over $100,000 in testing and protocols in 1 month. So Power 5 schools can handle that. That's $100,000 is $100,000. They'll use it to play football because they're going to make more. But you start talking about McNeese, they can't afford to spend $100,000 a month on testing their players. I mean, I don't see where either you have to lessen the protocols for the group of 5, or you just can't play because you can't put the same protocols that you're going to have in the Power 5 and expect the group of 5 to observe the cost.
Inside the Bayou Ford Huddle, I think the statute of limitations are past this. Isn't buying a book for a player illegal? Did Dick Dixon just admit something?
I borrowed the book. I returned it after
you
the
said
camp.
bought.
Well, he bought the book for himself. I borrowed it.
Dude, if you can get in trouble for buying a book 12 years later.
Yeah, I don't know.
Statute of limitations.
I kept the book, damn it.
Gone. Good, thank you. Say it with your chest out. Don't act like you gave the book back. You already told on yourself. All right, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have first class, second class, no class, brought to you by Relief Telemed here on Hangin with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richard Honda.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hello?
What's up, B? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up?
Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up! Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up! Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
Get an eye out for danger. If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At All Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hello?
What's up, E? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up?
Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up.
It's a Friday edition of Game Time as Jimmy Ott gets you ready for the weekend. We're live from Beaubois Park from 6 to 8 p.m., so come see us and bring your own beverage or tune in to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hannah on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in. Hanging with Hester and Hannah without the Hannah. All right, Richard, we're about to do a little first class, second class,
covered.
no class. Are you ready to go?
Always ready.
Gage, you ready?
First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
All right, first class, second class, no class is brought to you by Relief Telemed. If you're a high school coach or teacher and you don't have a testing partner in place, have your administration contact Relief Telemed. They can do that at 225-244-6093, or they can check them out online, relieftelemed.com/stopthespread. They can help with testing, and they can get a plan in place to get your students to return quick and safe. Don't forget, they offer on-site and off-site testing options. Have the option to get COVID results in as little as 24 hours. Relief is the market leader for rapid response COVID testing. Be on-site within 24 hours and have your business or your school operational in 48 hours. I can tell you they did this for us up in our walk-ons in Shreveport. We did not miss a beat. Back in business, did not miss any time. Again, you can call them at 225-244-6093 or check them out online, relieftelemed.com/stopthespread. All right, Richard Dixon, this is your first appearance on the show, so I'll take it easy on you. I'll go first.
I'll go first.
It's
no big deal.
Okay.
First class.
Okay.
You got to go with Dee Dee Bro and her retirement, because what she's done at LSU, her 43-year career, has done more for her respective program than any other coach in LSU history. I mean, where she brought the gymnastics program, it is an elite top 5, top 10 program every year. When you talk about, a sport being known across the country, LSU gymnastics is one of those. It's one of the programs that you have top talent coming in every year. The way she was able to raise money for that program, I think that her career is just one that should be celebrated, and it's got to be my first class.
I like that one. That was actually my first class on Tuesday.
That's why I went first.
It was on Tuesday.
Okay.
Dee Dee Bro, 43 years, a legend in the SEC, so many National Coach of the Year honors, SEC titles, all those things we talked about on Tuesday. I was -8 when Dee Dee took over the LSU program. You were -10.
Yeah.
So she did it for a long time at a very high level. All right, my first class is for Nick Markakis, the right fielder for the Atlanta Braves. Last night against the Toronto Blue Jays, he hit a walk-off home run. And if you'll remember, Nick Markakis opted out of the Major League Baseball season because his teammate Freddie Freeman had COVID-19. It was a bad case. After a conversation with Freddie, he decided he wanted to opt out of the season. Well, he actually saw his teammates out there on the field and said it did not sit right with him. He felt like he let them down, wanted to be with his brothers, and actually apologized, even though he didn't have to. He apologized to his teammates. They welcomed him back to the team, and in his first game, he hits a walk-off home run to win the game for the Atlanta Braves. So first class, Nick Markakis, for coming back and being with your teammates. Because throughout this whole process, I've said this, and I'm not telling anybody what to believe, and I'm not telling anybody this, that, or the other. But regardless of the circumstances, if my teammates were out there,
you got to be there.
I would have to be there. I'm not even saying that's the smartest thing to do. I'm just telling you, if my teammates are out there, and if I drove by the Ponderosa and I saw y'all out there grinding and I wasn't, I would throw up.
I mean, I understand why you apologize, because you feel like you let somebody down. And I've said this all along. I'm not saying it's the right thing, wrong thing, whatever. But if you were to opt out, imagine like trying to earn that respect. Well, you feel like you have to re-earn everybody's respect because you think you lost it at some point because you gave up on them. And I'm not, like you're saying, I'm not saying that's right, but that's how I would feel. I would feel so uncomfortable coming back next year trying to earn my spot on that team because I'd feel like I kind of quit on them. So I completely understand why he would be the guy that had to apologize or wanted to apologize.
All right, second class, Richard Dick Dixon.
Torrey Carter's tattoo. If you haven't seen Torrey Carter on Twitter, he's got one hell of a tattoo. He had his entire lower leg done.
Marty, can we find this? Can we find Torrey Carter's tattoo, please?
The 2019 football season. He's got the scores. He's got Tiger Stadium. He's got Death Valley. He's got himself on the back of his calf. It's one of the coolest tattoos for a guy to go get done in the offseason.
You got to have some swag to be able to get yourself on your leg, and Torrey has it.
Yeah.
You got to have a little grit to get a full leg, a half sleeve tattoo.
You got to have a plan for your future. He's got sleeves everywhere. I mean, that guy, he needs to go WWE because he is a perfect wrestler.
His plan for his future is catching bodies. So we've done the Low Man Award for the nation's best fullback for the last 2 years. I'm on the committee, and I voted for Torrey twice, and he has not won the award yet. If anybody says grit and being a meathead fullback, it's Torrey Carter, and I mean that as the best compliment possible. And if you're watching us on CST or on our YouTube stream, you can check out the half sleeve tattoo, remembering the 2019 season there for our guy, Torrey Carter.
That thing is sick.
Well done, Torrey. I agree. It's a well-placed tattoo for a well-placed mentality of Torrey Carter. All right, my second class is going to be something with a little bit North Louisiana flavor, and that is UL Monroe playing against Louisiana Tech November the 21st of this season in Shreveport, Louisiana, in the Independence Stadium. And this is a game.
Have something to do with it?
No. Okay. But this is a game that goes back a very long time. These two schools were old rivals. You can basically almost throw a rock between Ruston and UL Monroe. I mean, it's not that far. Of course, you can't throw a rock 20 minutes, but you get what I'm saying. They are too close not to be playing. My father-in-law played for Louisiana Tech, and this was a rival. This was a game that meant something. They used to play this game, and we used to be State Fair, now Independence Stadium, of course, and they played this game forever, and it was a big deal, and they have not played in 20 seasons. They played each other for 39 consecutive seasons from 1953 to 1991. After a 5-year break in the series, the Warhawks and the Bulldogs met for 4 straight years from 97 to 2000, and this is a game that completely went away, and it's a game that needs to be played every single year. It only took a global pandemic for it to happen again, but thankfully it is taking place because these schools should not like each other. They are right down the road.
How many bar fights do you think they've gotten into if you go back over the history of that game? I mean, the football players meeting up after a game, I guarantee there's some crazy stories. If you talk to your father-in-law and just some of those old guys who played in this rivalry, it's something that blows my mind that they're not doing. I get it. I think it's stupid. They're probably not playing because of recruiting. They're recruiting the same kids.
No, well, I believe it was Derek Dooley when he was the head coach, AD of Louisiana Tech. He kind of came out and basically said that UL Monroe was not on the same level as them.
This is a recruiting tactic because if he loses to them, they're recruiting the same kids, the same area. The same way why Mississippi State won't play Southern Miss, why Ole Miss won't play Southern Miss, because they're going after the same kids, and they don't want to give a lower tier program a heads up in recruiting for beating a school like that.
So I'm just glad this game is now back in place. I hope this becomes something that is yearly. I know it won't, but we'll at least get it for 1 year. It's going to be in my hometown in Shreveport. I've got to imagine a lot of people back home are excited about that. I know I've texted a couple of former, well, at the time it was Northeast Indians, but now UL Monroe Warhawks and a couple of La Tech Bulldogs. Everyone's excited about this game, so good on everyone for finally making this happen again. So second class, UL Monroe and La Tech.
And what really stinks is the year they do it, nobody can go to the game.
I mean, is Haney in that chair? Haney's been Debbie Downer all this week.
But that one, like, you think the town, that's a huge game for the town. Everybody get together, and then they can't even go to it. We'll move along to no class, and I'm going to go straight to face shields because I think they're stupid. I get why they're doing them, but I can't imagine having to play football with a face shield. And Jake, you can talk to this. I never wanted to wear a visor because the amount of heat that comes off your face in a game, and it is suffocating. It's like the most humidity in the world is right there in your face. You can't breathe. A visor was bad enough. Now you're talking about extending it down past your chin. I heard one of the players comment about it, said, "I can't effing breathe." I mean, it is a struggle. I don't know how you can play the game of football with your entire face covered because in this southern heat, it just makes no sense. I mean, I could see maybe in the winter it gets a little bit easier, but that is one tool that I see why they're trying to do it, but I do not think it's physically possible to play the game at your best with that on.
You've heard me say this before, and our listeners have heard it as well, but in case someone missed it, because we're talking about this, I wore a shield in the NFL. I had to because I had contacts. I got my eye poked, contact pops out, then I had LASIK surgery, so I was trying to protect my eyes. Wasn't trying to add to the swag because I didn't wear one in college. I was trying to protect my eyes there. And if we played in Miami with the humidity there, they came off immediately because they would fog up as soon as you walked outside. There was other places in the NFL that would have the same effect, and that was just having the top visor. That wasn't having the complete face shield. Even in the video that you're talking about, we saw it fog up. I mean, it was already fogged up, and that was inside. That wasn't even outside in the elements. And obviously LSU's not going to be the only team that deals with this. Everybody's dealing with this, and I always give my example of Foster Morrow, who had to wear one on the bottom. He didn't have a top visor. He had a bottom visor because he had an incident where he busted his lip and they were trying to protect the stitches or whatever. And even with that, they had to drill holes in that mask for Foster to be able to breathe like he wanted to. And that was without a top shield. Yeah. So I don't know how this is going to work. Obviously, you can't have holes in it because that defeats the purpose, but it's going to have to be something they get used to.
Can you get used to it?
Yeah, can you get that's going to be the question. Can you get used to it?
It is tough. I can't imagine. You saw it fogging up. I just knew when I've put on a helmet before with just the top visor and the amount of steam that stays around your face, I can't imagine a full one.
Hey, I mean, you're getting steam just from the top visor, hot breath?
I mean, when you're running around playing as hard as I did.
Jake, there we go. All right. My no class is to the New Orleans Pelicans for resting Zion Williamson in tonight's game. Andrew Lopez, one of our go-to guys, had it on Twitter about an hour ago. I don't understand the situation. You've got a guy, and if he's healthy to go and he's missed so many games already, why are we resting Zion? I feel like he is being treated differently than any athlete we've ever had before, and I realize he's an investment. I realize he's had some injuries, but if he is healthy to go, regardless of what the game means, he needs time on the court.
Yeah.
He needs to, continue to condition to be ready to play a full season. Is this going to be the only way that he plays in spurts throughout his career? I mean, at some point you have to extend the guy, right? It's like the starting pitcher. He starts in spring training and he throws this amount of innings. And then eventually you grow until you throw 100 pitches, 110 pitches. Well, you have to go out there and be on the court to extend your life on the court, and not just these, hey, we're going to play spurts here. We're going to play in this situation. We're going to play every third game. Zion's just too talented. I mean, he is a physical freak. Like, get him out there. Let him have the time on the court. And, guys, if he gets hurt, that's just the nature of the game. I mean, you can't.
That's the risk you take.
You can't wrap him in bubble wrap for his entire career and him play 30 games a season. That defeats the purpose of having a talented guy like Zion. Zion's 20 years old. Let him go out there. Let him get some minutes.
If you're resting a guy at 20 years old who has had, 3 or 4 months to get in the best shape of his life. I mean, bars shut down, restaurants shut down. You had nothing to do other than as a professional athlete other than to work out. And to me, you're worried about getting him hurt. Is it because he's not in the shape that you want him to be in? Is it because he's not where you think he should be, not only mentally, physically, whatever it is, but resting him now to me seems like there's other issues that you're worried about. Or there's something that you're concerned about that he did not take care of or that the staff as a whole did not take care of. I don't understand resting him knowing that you're about to be done for another year. I mean, until you get back in November or whenever they decide to play the next season.
Yeah, I mean, that's really not even been decided yet.
Yeah.
But still, you have 4 games. If Zion can't go out there in 4 games and compete, my question is, will it ever happen?
Yeah,
and
I'm right there with you.
And if I'm Zion, honestly, and I don't know his mindset. I've only met him once, and he seemed like a great kid. But I don't know his mindset, right? I don't know what that is. I'd be like, let me play. Like, I want to play. We talked about Phillip Rivers the other day, right? Phillip Rivers, since he became the starter, his 3rd year in the NFL, right? He sat behind Drew the first 2 seasons. He becomes a starter in year 3. You know how many games Phillip Rivers has missed?
1?
0.
Okay.
He played with a torn ACL in the AFC Championship game, knowing he had the torn ACL going into it. He tore it in the game against the Colts in the second half. He missed the 4th quarter of that game and then came back the next week and played with a torn ACL, right? So I understand guys are wired different, but that's a guy that's had a torn ACL. He had a torn ACL. He never missed a game. He's never missed a game. It's on everybody to get Zion in his best possible shape, peak condition. It's on Zion. It's on the training staff. It's on the team. It's on the leaders of the organization. It's on everybody. Like, you have to get this guy ready to play, because I feel like if you don't get him on the court, what's the purpose?
Phillip was a guy at that time. He was a man in the locker room. He was a guy that had stroke. He had power. He was going to tell the coaches what he was going to do. Is this a little bit of the case of maybe the franchise is being overprotective of Zion, and he feels like he's a young kid. He's like, yes, sir. I'll do what I'm being told.
It
yes,
could
sir.
be, but you still have to say, guys, I need time on the court.
Yeah.
Right? I have to get games. I'm a young basketball player, right? I've missed time at both levels, right? Remember, when he blew out his shoe, he missed time at Duke.
Yeah.
He's missed time, obviously, in this season.
Probably hasn't played a full season since high school.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
He needs to get on the court and have those minutes. And I'm not saying you're going to get into shape in 4 games and that's going to last until they restart in December or whenever they restart, but it's giving you something.
The more
it's giving
pro
you
games you can get
no
underneath your belt,
question about it.
I mean, it's going to make you a better player. I'd like to hear T-Bob's take on this, because I know he's a flock up type of guy. But no, there's no question he has to get NBA games under his belt. And like you said, every game he gets more mature. He gets he learns something. It's a learning curve, and it's for a 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid. The more you can get under your belt now is just going to help you in the future.
I just think if you do it this way, he's never going to be ready for a full season, because you never gave him the opportunity to have a full season. And he's only going to know, his body's only going to know, well, I'm going to have a spurt where I go. They only need me for this long, right? His body's just never going to get used to the grind of a full NBA season.
No, I'm right there with you.
All right, that was First Class, Second Class, No Class, brought to you by Relief Telemed. Remember, you can check them out again online, relieftelemed.com/stopthespread. Also, give them a call, 225-244-6093. They will make sure that your problems go away, and they go away extremely fast. They did it for us up in Walk-Ons in Shreveport. I stand behind them 100%. All right, we'll take our break. Still more to come. We've got Danny Cannell set to join us at 2 o'clock. Randy McMichael set to join us at 2:30. A lot still to get to here on Hanging with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richard's Honda.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we're brought to you every single day by our title sponsor, Richard's Honda. Of course, you can find them online at richardshonda.com, where you can do it all. You can check for all the specials they've got right there in the bottom left corner of the website. You got 24 days left to save. I always tell you in the bottom right corner of the website, you can have a chat with sales, whatever question you might have, well, they can answer it right there on the spot. Don't forget, though, go check them out at 13413 Millerville Greens Boulevard in Baton Rouge. That's I-12 and Millerville, because they have over 700 new and pre-owned vehicles. You're going to find something that you absolutely fall in love with, and it meets your lifestyle, whatever you might need. If it's a car, if it's a hybrid, if it's a midsize SUV, I can promise you they've got you covered. the full-size Pilot, the Odyssey minivan with every feature, including a vacuum in the back of this thing. And if you're a parent, you know why that is needed. The Ridgeline truck, something for everybody, over at Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling.
Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. After Further Review and more are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube page. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat. Find highlights for each show's channel and get notified whenever we go live.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
Get an eye out for danger. If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as a bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust.
Coming up on Monday's Off the Bench, we recap the weekend of sports. Was the final nail put in the Pelican coffin? Plus, will we see the new SEC schedule? And as we do every week, we give you our weekend winners. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richards Honda here on a TGIF. Remember, we still got Danny Cannell set to join us at 2 o'clock. Randy McMichael. I can't say his name without saying Randy. He hates it too. Like, he can't stand it.
You had the intro for him at one point.
Yeah, and he didn't like it very much. But I'm going to continue to do it because once you find out a teammate doesn't like something, then you not only do it, but you do it over the top.
Your goal in life is to make them aggravated.
All right, so if anything breaks within the SEC, again, it's not official, but we are hearing possibly we could learn the two teams that LSU will play today. Possibly the schedule could come out early next week. And so if anything happens there, we'll obviously update you because that's what everybody wants to know.
Your guess.
They want to know. My guess is we'll find something out today.
No. What two teams?
Oh, Let's go Mizzou and Kentucky.
Going Tennessee, Kentucky.
And maybe it's because Mizzou's been in this conference since 2012.
They feel like they have to do it.
And we have yet to travel to Mizzou, and it's not scheduled for a couple of more seasons. That's great. Like, think about if everything stayed the same, you would have like 3 full classes of LSU football players that had never gone to a place within their own conference. That's my issue.
When we were playing, you missed one stadium, right? I mean,
yeah, when we were playing, I'd say there was 12 teams, but if you stayed for 4 years, you missed one stadium. I missed South Carolina.
I missed Vanderbilt. I didn't miss anything.
We didn't miss anything. So you would miss one, and that, to me, you can't be in the same conference and have 3 full classes that never go to a conference opponent, even if they're in the other division. That's just something that, and look, y'all know your boy likes to play Florida every single year. I'm in the group that loves playing Florida every single year. That's a rivalry game that I absolutely love. So I don't know how you fix it, adding whatever you got to do, but the schedule has to be looked at, in my opinion. This year is going to be something that we're going to see on the football field. Let's see what happens if they, keep the same schedule. Connor O'Gara says he doesn't think they will.
I don't think they will either. I mean, why? Because it has had success. Like you said, everybody's made it to the playoff every year.
All right, when we come back, hour number 3, we'll be joined by Danny Cannell, CBS Sports Sirius XM Radio. And again, any news breaks, you'll be the first to know it here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hannity.
Of the folks who depend on us. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Divorce is hard. Divorce is messy. Divorce is exhausting. The law offices of O.C. Brown walked me through my divorce and helped me find the right solution for me, my kids, my finances, and my property.
Call the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
In and eye out for danger. If I build a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your
Callahan Injury Lawyers. Now, Hangin with Hester and Hanny with Jacob Hester and Charles Hannegriff. Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. Alongside Jacob Hester, here's Charles Hannegriff.
All right, welcome in hour number 3, Hanging with Hester and Hanny without the Hanny, presented by Richard Honda here with Richard Dick Dixon as we continue to talk all things college football. Again, anything breaks here for the SEC in their schedule, we'll let you know before we get out of here. If not, AFR will have you covered as well. Of course, you can watch us on Cox Sports Television, also on our YouTube chat here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, 1130 a.m. The Tiger up in the Port City. All right, waiting on Danny Cannell to hop on with us here in the show. He'll be with us in a couple of minutes. Of course, the ACC schedule has dropped. We know their opponents and where everything falls within the ACC. Anything jump out to you there, Richard?
Not really, other than the fact that, the ACC is such a really a weak schedule for me because it's not really that good.
Don't try to get our next guest all fired up. I know you did that on purpose. Joining us now, Danny Cannell, CBS Sports, Sirius XM Radio. Danny, what's up, brother?
What is going on, man? How's it going, Hess? You doing all right? You guys hanging in there, staying healthy?
Yeah, we're doing well. How about you and yours?
Hey, same boat, man. I've had a couple close calls, like one of these, I get a text from a buddy of mine that I was, our families were hanging out, and 3 days later you get the, oh, by the way, I tested positive. You might want to go get tested, which is not the text that you want to get. But we dodged the bullet with that one. Like, we've been, hey, very fortunate, I'll say that, because, we've been healthy. And it's, I've tried to look at this as an opportunity to kind of really take appreciation when you do have your health, because you never know when it could be taken away, for sure. But yeah, we're all good, man. Hopefully you guys are too.
No, you're exactly right. We've had some of those close calls as well. I agree with everything you said there. But hey, don't worry. I guess if you got sick, you'd have a bye week before you play Florida State like everybody else does.
I know, right? That's messed up. Why you got to be taking shots at my nose, man?
No, I mean, I'm actually kind of in your corner here because as the schedule was released, and of course, we're all waiting here in our footprint for the SEC schedule to be released. But when the ACC schedule came out, I'm like, my goodness, you've got Clemson, Notre Dame, Pitt. There's another team. 4 teams have a bye week before they play the Seminoles.
It's brutal. And I already think Mike Norvell is going to have his handful. Although my man Marvin Lewis is coming back. He did opt in. He said he's coming back. Who's probably going to be a first-round pick as a defensive lineman. But I think it's already going to be a challenge for Mike Norvell. Any new coach that's trying to implement new systems, new schemes on both sides of the ball is just going to be in such a tough spot because they didn't have spring practice. The training camp's going to be cut short. You're going to have all these issues that just crop up, and it's really just going to be extremely tough for him. Marvin Wilson is a defensive tackle for Florida State. It's just going to be really tough on him. And, you mentioned some of the bye weeks going in there, but it's just, hey, everybody's going to complain about something, but at least you're getting a season. Like, that's what I would say. If any Florida State complained, hey, let's just make sure we get to those games. And then if we lose them, then we complain about the schedule. But let's get to those games first, because I'll take that over anything.
Danny, Richard and I were talking earlier, as former players, the schedule of everything would be difficult for us because, as you know, we're creatures of habit. We have to have our schedule because as football players, we know exactly what our body needs to look like in March, in May, in June, in July, as we ramp up for this season. And really, these players, they've had a lot of unknown. And even when they think they have a known, well, they kind of get it taken away from them. And you take 2 steps back, and then you kind of go back to a different phase. And now within the SEC, training camps get pushed back. And I say training camps kind of in air quotes. It gets pushed back to August the 17th. And so they have to go back to practicing without a ball right now. So for you, how difficult would that have been?
Brutal. I mean, I just think it's like coaches have to wear a lot of different hats, right? Obviously, they coach X's and O's. They also have to play the role of psychologist. Sometimes they have to play the role of encourager. Sometimes they have to play the role of a father figure. They have to wear a lot of different hats. I think the role of psychologist, like how do you handle the mental state of your athletes, whether you're a head coach and it's the entire team, or it's your position coach and you're handling the quarterbacks, or whatever position you have, you really have to have a good pulse on where your players are mentally and kind of monitoring them and making sure that they don't check out mentally, that they don't kind of, or get out of shape, because some guys' natural tendency may be, well, I know I'm dialed in for a July 17th report date, but if it's pushed back a month, you kind of fall back and you kind of get a little bit lax with your diet and your training regimen. And then it's like, you got to ramp back up. Whatever case it is, some guys I think about the burnout effect. Like early in my career, and definitely in the NFL, I wasn't a starter, so I was competing. I was competing for a roster spot, or I was competing for a starting job. And if you're in that mindset, it's so taxing mentally because you're just in this, the uncertainty of, man, I don't know if I'm going to win the starting job or if I'm going to be the backup. And to tack on to that, if you're in a position battle and you don't know when you have to go to work and when to actually start that competition, I can't even fathom it. Like, I feel so bad for most of these college athletes that their experience has just been absolutely upended in this really uncomfortable situation. And it's been ugly for everybody, but I have a soft spot in my heart for these guys who work their entire lives. There's only this short window, this 4 to 5 year window, that they can really, put all that effort and energy into their goal, which is either winning a championship or getting to the NFL. And then it's been totally upended. I feel tremendously bad for them in these positions.
Danny, being a Florida State guy, I want to talk to you about this question. And everybody saw the situation they had at Florida State with Marvin Wilson coming out against Mike Norvell over the miscommunication on talking to players. And what is the current state of that team? Have they come back together? How has Mike Norvell won the trust back, or built the camaraderie back around his team with all the issues they've had as far as quarantining and not being to have your normal offseason?
So, Richard, that's a great great point you bring up, and I think it was something that had me really nervous. Because as a new coach, which Mike Norvell was, he didn't have time to build up a trust in his players. Because I do think, coaches, they'll say certain things to the media because they want to make the program look better, right? Or they want to make themselves look better, to be frank. They want to put themselves in the best light. And I think that's what Mike Norvell was trying to do. Like, hey, we've got things, we're controlled. We have an open line of communication. We let our players, and, he said, hey, I had conversations with every single player, which wasn't the truth. He had sent out a group text, which is completely different, and Marvin Wilson called him out on that. Now, when that took place, my initial thought was, like Mike Norvell just stepped in it, and he has a major problem on his hands. That could cost him his job. I mean, there were some writers that said Mike Norvell should lose his job for lying to his players. But I got to give Norvell credit because you know what he did? He owned up to it. He brought in the players and actually did have a meeting, hashed out a lot of the miscommunication that took place. But then even more importantly, he let Marvin Wilson have a voice, and he said, okay, let's come up with a plan how we as Florida State are going to make our situation better and the community better. So like they not only said, all right, we have, there's an issue that's going on across our country where there's this racial divide and there's 2 Americas and there's different experiences between young black players and young white players. And so he acknowledged that. And then he reached out because it's hard for a white person it's impossible for you to relate to a black person because the experience is so different. So what he did is he trusted his players, the majority of which are black, said, all right, well, what can I do to hear your voice? But not only can we hear each other's voice, but let's make our voice heard in the community, and let's make a difference in the community. So they came out of it like with a three-headed plan. Like, and I was DMing with Marvin Wilson on Instagram, and he was telling me about it, and I think he was really impressed that the coach backed them and the players' message. And so they came out of it like they wanted to get involved with the community. They wanted to give financially to the causes that the players believed in, and they wanted to have a unified voice. And Mike Norvell gave that to them. So I think actually what was a really adverse situation, which could have gotten really ugly, might have ended up building this team up stronger. And maybe even one of the reasons why Marvin Wilson did decide to come back and he didn't opt out. He said, I want to come back and I'm all in for the season. I genuinely believe that, because if it would have gone south, if I was Marvin Wilson, I would have been like, peace, I'm out. I'll see you later. But he didn't. He's going to come back and play, which is becoming a rarity now.
Denny Cannell, CBS Sports Sirius XM Radio, is our guest here on Hangin with Hester and Hanny. Danny, you mentioned first-year coaches a couple of times, and I agree with you. The challenges that they have this year because of all the things that you just mentioned, and also the football side of thing, and also the recruiting part of it, because in recruiting, right, we know it's a dead period until at least the end of this month. Those first-year head coaches, they have not had the opportunity to have the guys on campus in the spring, really. They have not had the opportunity to have the guys for their camps that they host, right? They have not had that time to have them in their buildings. They have not created those relationships. And if the NCAA doesn't change that early signing period, you're going to have a bulkier class that signs in December, and you feel like you really never even had the opportunity to recruit some of the top-tier guys within not only your state but the country.
You bring up some great points, Hess. I mean, it really is going to be an issue. And, you know, coaches are really going to be crammed for time. And, I just, if we get there, like I keep saying, let's just get to the season. I'm sure that's what Mike Norvell or Mike Leach or Lane Kiffin or any coach who's taken over a new program is probably thinking, man, let me get to ball. Like, when you become a football coach, you do it hopefully because you love the game of football and you love working with kids and you love designing X's and O's. You didn't get into football to manage scholarships, even though that is a requirement now, a job requirement. You didn't get into football to have to manage social distancing requirements or mask policies or testing policies. So like all of this auxiliary stuff is going on and you're just overwhelmed. But then it gets back to, well, your fans, the expectation at a lot of these schools, at Florida State, at Ole Miss or Mississippi State, is going to be, well, we don't care. Like, what are you going to do to make the program better? And they're not going to really understand what you're talking about the recruiting calendar and how that could throw off an entire recruiting class, which, you know, you've already inherited, especially at Florida State, a program that was a mess. Like, you got offensive line woes across the board. You know, quarterback, they're still trying to figure out. Now, there is some NFL talent, but you've got needs that you've got to address. And if you can't even contact those players or get them into your camps like you're talking about, like, good luck. And, you know, like, I think if, you know, I like to dabble a little bit in gambling. I'm sure you guys do too. When I look at win totals of teams and I see new coach win totals, I would almost across the board just fade them and take the under. Like if Florida State is at 9.5 wins, I would probably say, let me take the under on that one. And I don't even know what it is. It might even be 8.5. I'd probably say, let me take the under on that one, just because it's going to be a rough year for coaches that are taking over new programs. It's just a really steep learning curve already. And then you throw in all of this and it becomes amplified that much more.
Danny, out of all the new coaches you just mentioned going into their first year and having the difficulties they've had, who do you see who's best set up for success?
I'm trying to think who else is out there besides the three I gave you, because those were just the ones that were coming off the top of my head. You know, I think there'll be pretty reasonable expectations at a Florida State, even though that's kind of crazy right now. I do think things got so bad with Willie Taggart and missing a bowl, having a bowl streak broken that was intact for, 30 plus years. I think most coaches now will get a year pass. I look at Sam Pittman at Arkansas. I think he'll get a year pass. But like when I say pass, you can be 500, but if you have 1 or 2 wins, then it's like, the alarm starts, the clamoring starts to begin. And a lot of it in college football is about making a good first impression. You guys know this. I mean, even you don't have to win the national championship your first year, but you got to do something to hang your hat on. Whether it's a big win, like an upset that you weren't supposed to, maybe it's beating your rival. Whoever wins the Egg Bowl is probably going to have a massive leg up between Kiffin and Leach as far as what fan base perceives their coach as having a better first year. So it just kind of depends on the expectations of the school that are set before them. But I think people, for the most part, will have realistic expectations. But then I remind myself it's college football and no fans have realistic expectations, But I think a lot of it depends on like how the season looks, not necessarily the win total, but how do you look in those wins? How do you look in the losses? Because we're a very impatient society. People want to see results right away. We had Willie Taggart shown the door after a year and a half, Chad Morris at Arkansas. There's a bunch of coaches that just don't survive, a rough start. And you look at Nick Saban, who was not that great his first couple years at Alabama. Now, of course, he turned it around. But you even go back to Nick Saban at Michigan State. He wasn't lighting it up, but, he had more patience. Sometimes you got to be patient with coaches and let them get their recruiting classes, let them get their coaching staff settled. But unfortunately, that's not a luxury that's afforded coaches because they're making millions of dollars and fans want to see results on their investment.
Danny, that's going to be my last question to you because you started mentioning, some of the coaches that really only got a year and a half. So with the situation that we're in right now, some of the coaches that would typically be on the hot seat, you look at a Will Muschamp at South Carolina, because of their buyouts, I think Will's would be $13 million. During this pandemic, can you see a lot of coaches surviving that in typical years it would have been a no doubt he doesn't come back?
I do, because obviously the financial strain that this pandemic has put on athletic departments has been well documented, especially without fans. If they're not going to be allowed, it's going to, really devastate a lot of, financial statements and just what teams are allowed to do. But I will say this: never underestimate the craziness of college football fans. I'll give you Florida State. I know we've talked a lot of Florida State. I don't want to be pegged as a Florida State homer, but it is kind of a relevant topic. Florida State, before the pandemic, was in a really tough spot financially. I was very supportive of Willie Taggart because I didn't want our fan base to bail on him and lose the enthusiasm and support and kind of just like the backing. So I was trying to get people to hold on because in the back of my mind, I was thinking, man, we can't afford to buy Willie Taggart out. We can't afford to write him a check for 14 or 15 million, whatever it was. And then what happens? All of a sudden, there's a couple meetings behind closed doors. A couple people stroke some checks that are really, more zeros than probably you or I have ever seen. And then all of a sudden, Willie Taggart's shown the door. So I would say, I think, yes, in general, your theory is right, but never underestimate a rabid fan base that says, you know what, we've seen enough. Now, I think it would have to be a really ugly, extraordinary circumstance. And some of these, like Will Muschamp, would probably have to have only 2 wins.
Yeah.
If he's 500 again in a normal year, maybe he wouldn't survive that. But this year he probably does. So I think it kind of depends on just how bad it is. But if it's bad, don't get too comfortable, coaches. Don't think you get a free ride this season just because of the pandemic. That would be my one word of caution for coaches.
All right, he is Danny Cannell. You can catch him on CBS Sports, also Sirius XM Radio. Danny, we need to have a show with me, you, Neuheisel, and Doring again. What would we call it, Ricky and the Renegades? That was too much fun.
I love it. And by the way, I've been telling my wife all the time about how your wife set the bar, the gold standard, bringing you coffee and warm beignets every morning. I tell my wife every day, you got to live up to Hester's wife's reputation.
You're exactly right. I actually forgot about that. So now I've got to go do a honeydew when I get home. So you just reminded me of that. Hey, Danny, appreciate the time as always, brother.
Awesome, man. Great catching up.
All right, there he is, Danny Cannell. He's right. So we had the 6 a.m. call, and it was me, Coach Neuheisel, Doring, and Cannell on Sirius XM. And, New Orleans sometimes will keep you out a little bit later than others. There's a Harris down there. I don't know if you know that. There's a couple of other things you get in trouble with. And so when we walked in, we all walked in like at 5:50, and we're typically us three like in our chairs 30 minutes ago. And Coach Neuheisel, because he's a former coach, of course, he was there ready to go. And
staring at you.
We either thought like Danny or I were going to host the show because we always host when we're on Sirius XM. Rick and Doring more of co-hosts. And we walked in, and Coach Neuheisel was like, "Boys, woo, I got this. It's going to be Rick and the Renegades today. I see the red in your eyes." And so It was fun, though.
I'm sure.
And Katie
it was.
did bring us coffee and beignets.
I remember the last time we had Danny on, he brought that up. You got to start remembering, man. Katie always does great things like that, and he has not forgot that.
He is not. I mean, gosh, like I got to go do a honeydew. I'm not lying. All right, we're long for a break. We'll go ahead and take it now. Again, the SEC. You hear 2 o'clock, and of course it's 2:19 and nothing. There's some people on Twitter that are getting restless about this SEC schedule. So if anything breaks during the show, of course we'll have that for you. We'll be back. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richards Honda.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we're brought to you by Baton Rouge Foundation Repair. Baton Rouge Foundation Repair offers services to correct the settlement of both slab foundations and pier and beam foundations. Some of the things that can contribute to those foundation problems, well, of course, poor drainage is one of them. And if you're considering buying a house that has foundation problems, some companies will actually say their work will fail if there is poor drainage around your slab, and you might be asked to pay again. Baton Rouge Foundation Repair's water shield pilings are engineered to withstand poor drainage conditions. Baton Rouge Foundation Repair has been servicing the greater Baton Rouge area for more than 22 years. Their owner, Michael LaMonica, day one, tell you every single day, he said, I want to do right by the Baton Rouge people, and he means that. That's why he's not going to ask you to pay again. Don't be asked to pay twice. Get Baton Rouge Foundation Repair's water shield pilings and estimates. They are always free. You can reach them at 225-275-0101. That's 225-275-0101. Or you can check out all their work at brfoundation.com.
It's a battle amongst teams in the top of the Eastern Conference when the Toronto Raptors host the Boston Celtics. Live NBA play-by-play immediately following Jimmy Ott's Game Time tonight at 8 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Divorce is hard. Divorce is messy. Divorce is exhausting. The law offices of O.C. Brown walked me through my divorce and helped me find the right solution for me, my kids, my finances, and my property.
Call the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
In an eye out for danger. If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Riot Radio Hours return. Terrio will have his silly letter, and Ross Dellinger joins us to try to sell his book. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in. Hanging with Hester and Hanny without the Hanny, presented by Richards Honda. All right, SEC, let's go. What are
Still
we
waiting?
doing here? Yeah, we're still waiting.
While we're waiting on them,
I just think you've had so much time to be able to put it together. Stop dragging us along. What are you doing? Because I wasn't speaking in absolutes here, but the word that I got from a couple of people I talked to around, the league office and just different places, whatever. 2 o'clock today was supposed to be when we found out some information. Of course, Central Time. We have not yet gotten that information, so they could possibly push everything to next week and just let us just sit here all damn weekend long and wonder.
it's just it's like Christmas Eve. You're just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. Once you know it, the excitement's over. But why though? It's 2 more games. You've already gone to a conference schedule. Yeah. You think it's such an easy decision. You think the earlier the better as far as planning and getting your travel situations under control. I don't really get other than that they just don't think it's that important to rush.
I do feel confident in the opponents that we've mentioned throughout the show, and obviously that's the key component of this whole deal was who are the opponents going to be. Now we all want to know what order we're going to see the SEC schedule on, because we've talked about it so many times, Dick Dixon, about everybody in a typical year has like that 3-game stretch that's going to be a bear. It's going to be that tough, rigorous. We got to find a way to fight through this stretch. Now, obviously, you add 10 games. It's going to be probably, well, at least a 4. I can tell you that. You're going to have a 4-game stretch that's going to be difficult there on your schedule. So the order absolutely does matter, but knowing the teams also, that helps, because then you can start to try to piece together, okay, surely they wouldn't put us, A, B, and C back to back to back.
So we don't have Vanderbilt on the schedule for sure. I mean, pretty much certainly we don't have Vanderbilt. And Mizzou is kind of the third one thrown in, because I had heard Tennessee and Kentucky.
Yeah, because in the model, that's what we continue to hear. I mean,
so if you leave those 2 out, when do you not have a tough stretch? Because those are the 2 weakest teams in the entire SEC, let's be honest. And if you get Kentucky, a team that is coming, they got the quarterback back. Yeah. You get Tennessee, who is getting better.
Right.
Mississippi State has talent. Mike Leach is coming in there.
You'll have the Arkansas thrown somewhere in there.
Arkansas, that'll be the weak one. But I don't think you get a long break. I think you're going to have 4-game stretch, a break, 4-game stretch, and a break, and that's probably about it.
There's not going to be, in a 10-game SEC schedule, there's not going to be outside of, this year, Vanderbilt and Arkansas, that you feel like you can just roll the ball out there and make it happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
if you go back to just the Vanderbilt game this past year with this great LSU team we had, they weren't necessarily ready to roll from the first snap. Vanderbilt came out and rushed the ball down LSU's throat the first series. I mean, and that's a short example.
Keyshawn Bond hit a cut,
And that's a short example because they weren't ready to roll. But, I mean, SEC talent can play with you from time to time and from series to series. Now, of course, the better team won, and LSU got the ball rolling. But when you're playing a full-time SEC schedule like that, Mississippi State can play 3 quarters with anybody. Ole Miss can probably play 3 quarters with anybody. And if you don't bring your best or you're not there clicking on all cylinders, I mean, you can have – I think there's going to be more upsets this year than probably ever.
And I think you saw them also decide to probably shuffle everything, is what we're hearing as well. Because when you looked at the original schedule, a team like Texas A&M would have had 3 straight road contests.
Yeah.
And obviously they're trying to avoid that in a 10-game SEC schedule if you would have kept it at what it was to begin with. And so, originally we thought, okay, well, you start the season with Ole Miss. But as we're hearing, that potentially is going to change.
Do you think that it has travel and distance has anything to do with redoing the schedule? Maybe trying to keep teams closer together?
Not necessarily. Not if you're talking about LSU possibly going to Mizzou.
Yeah.
Because I think the SEC is thinking that they're going to try to create somewhat of a bubble within the conference, and that's why it's a conference-only schedule, because everybody's going to have the same testing protocols put into place. Because I don't think that the distance is really going to play a factor here.
Do you think that, okay, as far as Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, your shorter drives, do you think bus trips are in play?
Bus trips are definitely, I think, in play. I think same-day travel more than bus trips is absolutely in play. I think if you're playing – now, I don't think they'll switch the home and away games up, but if they do, I bet you Ole Miss or Mississippi State, I bet they come the same day if they're playing LSU. I think that you're talking about flying up, to Northwest Arkansas. If you're flying up to Mizzou, maybe you change that. If you're flying to Gainesville, maybe that changes. But some of the closer trips, the ones that are only a state over, absolutely, I can see coming in that day.
If you're a 45-minute flight, an hour flight, and you can, get your walkthroughs done, have lunch on the plane, maybe, I don't know if it's pregame on the plane, but, get up and fly in. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, especially where a lot of these teams are. They have airports within, 25, 30 minutes of the schools.
All right, we're going to take a break. I know that was a quick segment, but when you've got Randy McMichael set to join you, you go ahead and take that break a little bit early. We'll catch up with the former Georgia and longtime NFL tight end who does a great job on the airwaves in Atlanta. When we come back, Hanging with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richard Honda.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger. If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It's a Friday edition of Game Time as Jimmy Ott gets you ready for the weekend. We're live from Beaubois Park from 6 to 8 p.m., so come see us and bring your own beverage, or tune in to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in. Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Again, without the Hanny here, joined by Richard Dixon on a Friday afternoon. Excited now to welcome on to the show former Georgia tight end, 11-year NFL vet. You can catch him middays there in Atlanta now. Jackson Heights own Mr. Randy McMichael. What's up, Randolph? How are you, brother?
What's happening, my dog? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Just relaxed out here in Atlanta. How you been? How's Katie and the boys? Everybody good?
Doing well. They're doing well. I think we're all kind of probably like a lot of people that you talk to are doing. We're all waiting on the SEC schedule. My 10-year-old's asked me no less than 35 times.
Hey, man, I'm like, hey, how about this? I will come get y'all. Leave me alone, okay? Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I will come. My son, he is so excited. He's so ready, man. He's like that. Who Georgia play for? I'm like, dude,
yeah.
Just go over there. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Then has the nerve to say, are we going to be able to go? I don't know.
Trust me, yeah, we had all the plans to go to the Saints Bucks opener. The Chargers were coming down to NOLA this year on a Monday night. Already had that all planned out with the Charger staff, and yeah, it doesn't look like any of that's going to happen. But at least we are getting something on the field. And how much do y'all talk about the opponents, Randy, that Georgia could possibly get? Because obviously you know who you already have on the schedule. You know, this year you know you have Alabama from the West. Of course, you know you're going to have Auburn every single year. And, of course, they're in Jacksonville, Florida in the East. And so how much have the Georgia Bulldog fans talked about that?
Well, I think it's more or less some names got leaked earlier on, Jake, and it was Arkansas and Mississippi State, I think it was, but it's nothing been set in stone. So right now, I think the biggest thing is where are you going? Are you going to them? Are they coming to you? And what part of the year are you playing them? But I mean, I don't really think it's that big a deal as far as who they're going to play, because we know it's not. We know it's not going to be LSU, and I think that's the biggest thing. Other than that, everybody else, it don't really matter.
Randy, being a guy from Marietta, Georgia, a former tight end, and who has a relationship with Eric Gilbert, it's a guy that a lot of people are looking to get some playing time this year. What do you know about Eric Gilbert that makes you feel confident as a guy coming in as an 18-year-old freshman that has enough confidence to play year one in college football?
He's a stud, man. He is a stud. And I always thought that he was going to be a better defensive end than a tight end. But a lot of people are telling me that, Randy, this kid can be a first-round tight end, man. And he's a guy that, body-wise, he's ready to go in the SEC. I mean, the kid is a brick house, and he is ready to come in physically and play. But as Jacob knows, it's more to it than being physically ready to play as a freshman, because of the fact that everybody's just as big as fast as you are in this conference. And you're going to get firsthand knowledge of it, because the only ones you're going to play are in the conference. So, I mean, he's going to be fine. I just think his development's going to take time. But I anticipate him having an impact this year, because he's that good of an athlete, and he is physically ready to go right now.
No, it's definitely the mental side. I started as a true freshman, and I tell Jake the story all the time. When everybody else was sent out to watch movies on Friday night before the game, I had to get stuck in the film room with the coaches going over pass protections.
Yep, yeah, I've been there, man. It is one of those things where they got to do everything to get you prepared, and this is such a different time we're in. So when you look at freshmen and rookies in the NFL, they're at the biggest disadvantage, because there's only so much you can do in those virtual meetings, and for you not to have spring practice, for you not to have the summer camp in the May lifting and things like that, it's going to have its disadvantages.
Oh, that doesn't stop in college, Randy. As you know, I remember when Ryan Matthews, our guy, was a rookie, and I thought, man, I'm going to go order room service. I'm going to go up to my room, enjoy a nice movie. After these meetings just broke, and Nora's like, no, you're not. You're going to sit down here and you're going to go through pass protections with Ryan Matthews for at least an hour.
Yeah. But the thing, what it is, because you remember then, Ryan, we had Tolbert. So Tolbert did that, but they wanted Ryan to be the 3-down back.
Yeah.
And Ryan struggled mightily with protections as a rookie. But most rookie running backs do struggle with the protection. But I mean, I think that when you're such a great running back, Jake, you know this, coming out of high school, coming out of college, you ain't never got to pass protect because you know what? They're either going to throw you the ball or hand it to you. You got to worry about it.
Oh, you're exactly right about that. Hey, since we have you, Randy, I do want to ask another Georgia Bulldogs question because we have learned JT Daniels did get that waiver to be eligible this year, and we haven't had a chance to catch up with you since that took place. What do you expect from that quarterback position battle? Or is it even a battle, or is this Jamie Newman's team?
I think it's Jamie Newman's team, Jake, and here's why. He's played some big-time college football. He's not coming into something. JT, he did play a little bit, but I still think he's a little green, and he's still coming off the injury and everything. But I think Jamie Newman was brought here to be the starting quarterback. I think the competition is going to be great because you got I forget the kid's name, Carson Beck. I think his name kid from Florida. He's coming in, and then they got a couple other guys. Dewan Mathis has finally been cleared. And so I think a lot of people look at the competition as Georgia Room's going to be really great. And then with Coach Moken coming in, people think it's going to be a whole huck and chuck it all around the yard. And you know Kirby, I know Kirby. That ain't going to be the case. We still going to run the football. We still going to be a ground and pound football team, which is going to add another element to it.
Randy, when you look at that running game, obviously you lose Swift there, but no talent loss there for Georgia at that position. They've recruited so well in the last couple of years. I mean, really the last decade at that position. Who's going to be the guy that steps up in Swift's spot?
Well, right now, everybody, it's Zamir White, and he's a guy that came in with so much hype, Jake, and then he tears his ACL in practice, and just it's been taking him a while to find his way. Got a chance to be the lead dog in the Sugar Bowl against Baylor. Thought he played well. Thought he ran hard. He's not as shifty and versatile as Swifty is. He's more of an old school running back like Nick Chubb was and those guys. But I think that, as a Georgia base, we're looking forward to seeing what he can do if he is the lead dog. I hope that they find ways to use James Cook better because Cookie, he's a guy that when he gets the ball in space, he can do some things with it. I mean, the room is loaded, man, and there's, it's going to go 4 and 5 deep. But right now, I think the number one in the clubhouse right now is Zamir White.
Randy, when you look at the SEC East as a whole, and we spent a lot of time talking about who could be contenders before we knew everyone was going to play a 10-game conference-only schedule, but that doesn't really change it for me. I still think that Kentucky and Tennessee are nice teams. I think they are nice teams that on a given Saturday can absolutely beat almost anyone in the SEC if everything played out right. But it's no change at the top for me. It is Florida. It is Georgia. What do you think? Or do you think at all that Florida has caught up to the Georgia Bulldogs?
I think Florida's there, man. They're good. They're not. I don't think they're with us. I mean, they're not going to beat us or that thing. But I think that Florida's gotten better. I think their whole thing is Kyle Trask's development. I mean, they lost some great players on the corner and some edge rushers. But hell, Florida seems to lose that every year and still come back with a great defense. So I'm not worried about that side of the ball. I think it's all on Kyle Trask. I think Kyle Pitts is going to be a superstar tight end. He is a matchup nightmare that we were able to corral after he was killing us at the beginning of the game last year. So I think Dan Mullen's done a great job, but I still don't think that I don't think they're talented enough to beat Georgia unless Georgia just plays a bad game and Florida plays their best game. Tennessee's going to they're going to play hard. Coach Pruitt is a hard-nosed coach, and he's gotten those guys. They're bought into what he's selling, and he's put together a hell of a staff up there in Knoxville. And Kentucky, they'll have that every 5 or 6 years. They have a great team like they had with Snell and Josh Allen and those boys. But they'll be okay. But they're not going to really threaten Florida or Georgia.
Randy, with Georgia being another top 5 preseason ranking, as much as they lost on offense, what gives you the confidence that they have the players there and the ability to compete and be a top 5 team?
Well, I mean, it goes back to what Jacob said earlier, the recruiting part of it. I mean, I'm not a big stars and all that. I can care less about that. What can you do when you end up still in britches? But the depth that he has formed with these kids, man, and defensively, they're going to be better probably this year than they were last year. They are so loaded defensively. They just got to get these edge rushers rushes, and Jermaine Johnson and Nolan Smith to get that consistent rush off the edge. And Jacoby Dean is Roquan Smith 2.0. Yeah. This young man, it's nothing on the football field he can't do. And when he arrives with bad intentions. Offensively, they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be fine. I think if there was another quarterback other than Jamie Newman, I might have a little hesitancy. But because Jamie Newman is coming in as a grad transfer, a senior that's played a lot of football, it hasn't been, it's been the ACC, but he's a good damn quarterback. I got a chance to call one of his bowl games. He's a good player. And hopefully with the better surrounding attack, because he has some great receivers at Wake Forest. And so hopefully he can bring some of that moxie that he has and do some things in Athens.
Catching up with former NFL tight end, Georgia Bulldog as well, Randy McMichael. You can catch him on 92.9, The Game in Atlanta. There, I've got one more for you, Randolph, before we let you go. Georgia not playing Georgia Tech this year. How big of a deal is that? Georgia Tech, they pick up UCF as their non-conference game. Of course, UGA not allowed to have them.
Yeah, it sucks, Jake. And I make fun, and we have fun with the Georgia Tech fan base on the show all the time. But it's a fun rivalry game. It really is. And it's hard for me to say I'm excited about what's going on at Tech. I like Coach Collins. I do. I like Coach Collins. I like what he stands for, the football coach. And I love the fact that he's making it cool to go to a Georgia Tech again. And he's getting these kids that didn't want to go to Georgia Tech, these athletes, because they didn't want to be a wide receiver in a triple I team or the running back. Now he's getting those guys that want to be in pro system, and he's doing a great job. And he's a good man, by the way. But yeah, he's making it fun for these kids to go back to Georgia Tech in Atlanta. But yeah, I mean, who didn't need that easy tune-up game before the SEC championship? I mean, that's all it was for. It's a nice tune-up game to get ready for Bama or LSU or whatever. So we're gonna miss that part of it.
All right, there he is, Randy McMichael. Randy, always a pleasure, my man. We appreciate you hopping on with us.
All right, brother. You take it easy, baby.
All right, tell the family I said hello. Y'all stay safe. All right, we'll take our final break of the show. When we come back, we're going to finish it up like we do every single day with Ask Us. You can get your questions in on the Bayou Ford Huddle. Also, hit us up on Twitter at JacobHester18, at RDixon18, and also on our YouTube chat on the 104.5 ESPN page. We'll be back to close up this week's shows here on Hangin' with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richard Honda.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
In an eye out for danger. If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
104.5 ESPN invites you to take a short quiz for a chance to win a brand new EU1000 generator from our friends at Bozeman Distributors. Simply go to 1045ESPN.com now through August 16th and take the quiz to see how prepared you are for hurricane season. Everyone who takes the quiz is automatically entered to win the generator. Our winner will be chosen on Monday, August 17th. Get prepared for hurricane season from 104.5 ESPN and stay prepared with Bozeman Distributors.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Prompt, professional, reliable. If you're looking for a breath of fresh air with your AC and heating needs, call the professionals at Anison Bitter. Anison Bitter, a Rheem Pro partner, keeping your family comfortable for over 25 years.
Coming up on Monday's Off the Bench, we recap the weekend of sports. Was the final nail put in the Pelican coffin? Plus, will we see the new SEC schedule? And as we do every week, we give you our weekend winners. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Let's go ahead and get to some of your questions. Ask us, is the Braves organist player the troll for playing Michael Jackson's Beat It for the Blue Jays catcher? We'll leave it at that. Yes. Yes, I think we can all.
I think that should have been first class.
It would have been if I'd have seen the story before we actually got to there. Ask us, what was y'all's welcome to the NFL moment as a rookie?
Cliff Averill. I had to block him off the edge. He was so freaking fast. I mean, he was a guy that I went to block him on a pass move, and like he swam me and knocked my hands off so bad, my knees hit the ground. It was just like, that guy's really, really good.
I mean, there was so many in my rookie year, and it's almost not like welcome to the NFL moments because you know how difficult it's going to be, but just like almost a little bit starstruck. My first ever NFL block was against Zach Thomas.
Yeah.
And I grew up loving his playing style and the way he played. And he was playing for the Cowboys in the preseason and had an ISO block. And, you know, it's like, okay, I'm here. In my rookie year, faced Jason Taylor off the edge. I'm trying to block him on a power. You know, this is an NFL Hall of Famer. So I had so many of those moments.
You know, and the one that I remind me, Hines Ward. I was sitting in the end zone stretching before we played the Steelers. And it just, to me, that, you know, a professional like that, he knew who everybody on the field was. He'd done his ritual and read through the program before everybody. And he comes up to me while I'm stretching the end zone. And he goes, "It's a big day for you." I'm like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "You know, your first game in the NFL." I'm like, "Yeah, yes, sir."
Oh, there's no doubt. I probably served way too many people. They're probably like, "Hey, kid, just line up."
But I thought it was so cool that Hines Ward had the thought to walk up to me in the end zone before the game while I'm stretching and know that it was my first game in the NFL.
That guy played football the way it's supposed to be played.
Yeah.
I don't think love him or hate him. He definitely did that. Ask us, could you get Dee Dee Bro on for an interview? We actually had Dee Dee to lead off our show on the day she announced her retirement. If you want to catch that interview, go to our YouTube page, click on Hangin' with Hester and Handy. That way you subscribe to the channel and you'll get notifications anytime that we do post an interview. But no, we actually opened up our show with the legend Dee Dee Bro, 43 years. And that was Richard's first class today, and first class, second class, no class. Ask us if you have to back one of Jordy Collada, Charles Handegriff, Matt Moscone, or Jimmy Ott at a high-stakes poker game. Who are you backing? Oh, Haney.
Yeah, I would have to go with Haney.
Without a doubt. I mean, Haney's definitely the poker player here on 104.5 ESPN for show. What would Moscone's 40 time be right now? Hey!
See if you can get him
I'll
in
see
the
if I
hallway.
can get him in the hallway. That's like the redneck signal for come on in.
What do you think his best 40 time ever was?
Best 40 time.
They want to know what your best
40
time.
ever 40 time. Oh, I never cracked 5. So right now,
5'7"?
5'7", 5'8".
Yeah.
I'm going there. Best for you?
My best, 4'6".
I told you that get him in the show, though.
Oh, yeah. 4'6" was the best I ever did. If I had to do it right now, 5'1", probably 5'5". I would love to know if I could crack 5 flat. One time I'd blow my hamstrings, but I might still get it.
It's funny. Someone asked us if we could still dunk yesterday, and like I can do the ugly dunk. I mean, you've seen me.
We were trying to dunk in your backyard.
Yeah, and I got out there a little bit. I can do the ugly dunk, where where you push it barely and grab the rim like with your fingertips.
I can drop it in the hoop and then grab the rim to make it look like
exactly. Ask us which member of the show is Stu from The Hangover. T-Bob.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll go with Stu.
Right.
T-Bob makes sense.
Ask us, will Richard be able to get out of the basement and improve his college football pick standings this season? I'll say to you, you were almost 50% last year, which is respectable. Flynn and I were on heaters.
Y'all. I mean, Flynn had a week where he's 6-0. I mean, you don't do that very often.
And we're spreads too. We're not straight up.
Yeah.
Ask us, does Bane look better in Magnum or Blue Steel modeling post?
Blue Steel.
Blue Steel. Ask us, why is Dixon so stingy with sharing his massive radio talents?
It's just I haven't had the opportunity lately with the new show and the new platform.
No, you don't want to come on here because 3 hours you felt like was too long. But
Well,
I told you, it goes fast.
Well, not only that, it's hard for me to get away from my work schedule to dedicate 3 hours. I mean, 2 hours I could usually drag it in or plan around it. 3 hours is tough.
Let's see. Ask us, do the Braves win tonight? Of course. Ask Richard. Richard, will he be back next week?
Sure.
All right, it's going to do it for this week's Hanging with Hester and Haney, presented by Richard Honda. Charles Hannegriff will be back in the saddle with me on Monday. Stay tuned to AFR with Matt in case any SEC scheduling news breaks. Until then, we will see you here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge at 11:30 a.m. The Tiger.